Welcome to Oregon Trail STOL, where this weekend pilots will battle the wildfire smoke and the heat at Ontario Municipal Airport, where we're operating on the Cash Preston Lee Troyer runway. The heat's said to be the biggest weather challenge for competitors this weekend, with temperatures forecast to hit nearly 100 degrees as they hit the turf. We've got an absolutely stunning backdrop for competition here, both in the air over the banks of the Snake River and on the ground under the wings of the aircraft at the Fighting Classics Air Museum. It's the series' first landing in Oregon this weekend and the final West Coast stop of the season before we point our aircraft east to Nashville next month. This close to the end of the season, every point counts, and those that have made the journey will be circling the wagons to defend their standings. It's time for engine start here in Ontario, Oregon. The line is painted, the pattern is clear, we're cleared for takeoff. It's time for National STOL's Oregon Trail STOL 2024.
And what's up, Av Geeks and STOL Freaks? My name's Ryan Dabrowski, and I just want to welcome you to Ontario Municipal Airport here in Ontario, Oregon. I'm joined in the booth by a legend of aviation. Is that okay if I call you that? John Jughead Council here is with me today, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
We sure are, Ryan. Appreciate it. We sure are, Ryan. Thanks there. Always good to be able to come in here and help out. You guys do such a great job putting on the great production from behind the scenes, in front of the camera, out on the runway. And it's always a pleasure when I get to sit down here and spend a little time on the mic with you and have a great time flying today. And it is going to be good. I think it's going to be better conditions today than we had yesterday.
Yeah, still maybe a little hot.
Oh, but it's going to be warm.
We're hoping for some wind, maybe. We'll see. That was the thing yesterday. We didn't have any wind at all during practice. Anything else from the practice session you want to mention for the folks at home, people here in the crowd, that they should look forward to today?
Two things. Density, altitude.
Is that two or one thing?
Yeah. It's a longer takeoff and it's a longer landing. True airspeeds are going to be higher as we come across the line. You're going to get less response out of the propeller. Obviously, the wings aren't working as well. The engine's not producing as much horsepower. This grass out here is beautiful, lush, and green. The mosquitoes love it. We like it, but it is draggy, so that's extending the takeoff rolls as well. It's helping on landing, especially for our tricycle gear airplanes out here. Good braking action, and it's kind of consistent. There's a few rodent holes, what we call whistle pigs out here, or ground squirrels, but overall it's a good competition surface for us, and I'm just hoping we can let's just get 5 to 10 on the nose would be perfect.
Yeah, and it's been, you mentioned the runway, it's been carefully watered for months. I heard last night that they've been working so hard here at the Ontario airport to make sure it's in as pristine condition as possible. I imagine, I haven't seen it from the air beyond our drone shots. I feel like it must look like a little oasis in the middle of the desert, the high desert here. So it's we're going to see some really good competition on it, but got to look out, like you said, for those gopher holes.
Yeah. That's where it's nice to have the Alaska bush wheels on board. Roll right over them, no problem.
Soak that up. Let's all rise, please. It's time for the national anthem. We'd all rise and remove your hats and caps, and then we'll get this party started. And not only do we have a beautiful day here in Ontario, Oregon, we also have a beautiful crowd coming out to brave the heat and the dust. You see the airport's been watering the taxiway here to help mitigate that. That's another thing that yesterday was, during practice, a bit of an issue, mostly in the taxi back. We had a little bit of IFR conditions from the dust. How was it during your practice heats?
It was a whole lot better than the volcanic ash at Moses Lake. There was a little bit, but it wasn't bad at all. It was probably worse, to be honest, sitting in here during the first 4 rounds before I got out into my airplane. I see you can actually see your computer screen today and your keyboard, so you did some good cleaning on that. And thanks to the City of Ontario and their water truck crew, both the spectator area, the taxi area is looking really nice. And you're exactly right. It's a great crowd here. One of the better crowds we've had at a National STOL event. And it's because we're right in town. It's so easy to get here, very easy to park. We've got the food trucks out here. So if you're anywhere in the Treasure Valley of Idaho, I encourage you get on out here. And if you're not, if you're watching this, you're already on YouTube. But reach out to your friends and family, YouTube Live, and we can watch this. And it's going to be a great day.
And that's a good point, too, John, that we've got a social link going. So if you watch on YouTube, Facebook, things like that, you can actually ask questions of us about how the competition is going. We will do our best to answer them when we see them. So go YouTube, even in the crowd here, YouTube, Facebook, things like that, you can reach us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. One of the questions you might have is how National STOL works, and we're going to explain that right now.
Takeoff and landing competitions are simple. We have the pilots here competing in separate classes to get the lowest score possible. As you see behind me, we have the start-finish line, so let's start with the takeoff.
This runway is marked with a start-finish line, and as a competitor parks their main gear on the line, they apply power and position their aircraft to get off the ground as soon as possible. Once their main gear leaves the ground, a line judge will mark their takeoff score using the measuring line along the side. This score will be added to the pilot's landing score on this heat. The landing is in 2 parts. It's either over the line and counted, or if the pilot's main gear touches down before the line, or even touches the line, this heat score is scratched and results on a landing disqualification, and the pilot will have to rely on another takeoff and landing score to get them on the podium. A quick look at our aircraft shows we have 2 types of landing gear, tricycle and tail draggers. On the tail dragger aircraft, the score is marked from the 2 main wheels toward the front of the airplane. And for tricycle landing gear, the score is marked by the 2 main gear in the rear of the aircraft. It's a fierce competition out here, but at the end of the day, it's all about building better and safer pilots in the skies. It's a great day for STOL competition. Let's get it started.
So 2 things from that little intro, John, that people always ask about. One is maybe the more controversial one. What's better, in your opinion, tail dragger or nose wheel in a STOL comp?
It really depends on the pilot. It boils down to the pilot. Every airplane has its plus and minuses. It's always a compromise. The nice thing about the tricycle gear is you can get a lot more angle of attack on immediate rotation than some of the tail draggers. You'll see one of the reasons a lot of the guys and gals are running the big Alaska bush wheels is it gets the nose of that airplane up and increases what we call the angle of attack, especially when it's in a 3-point attitude on the ground. That helps with takeoff. When it comes to landing, the tail wheel airplanes have to worry about using too much brake, especially in the last half of their landing rollout, where a tricycle gear airplane, they can just land and skid the tires the whole way down the runway.
So trade-offs.
Everything's a trade-off, and it still boils down most of the time to pilot skill, pilot proficiency, pilot practice.
The other side of pilot proficiency is we learned in that video package about the line, right, where everything happens in STOL, really, right? We have to land after that line without touching it or landing before it. Even the greats, even Jughead Council can scratch sometimes. Steve Henry's can scratch sometimes. He actually said in an interview yesterday, he said, I've been scratching too much. That's one of my things I got to work on in practice. So talk to me a little bit about yesterday. It seemed like we had a fair amount of scratching. Was that mostly the wind conditions?
I would say it's the lack of wind and the high density altitude. I was the same boat. Yesterday, my focus was on making it across the line. Well, I did that. I think the closest I got to the line was like 30 feet, and that is not what you want in competition. But it's much easier to back that up and get closer to the line than it is to come in super low, behind the power curve, dragging the airplane in. I was typically getting a pretty big floating sensation of air about 100 feet from the line, and I found myself bringing it all the way to idle, hands on the flap handle, and throwing the flaps down, pushing forward on my yoke to decrease my angle of attack and force the main gear onto the ground to try to get closer to the line. So today, while I will go out on that first pass, I get 4 competition passes. I will go out and go pretty aggressive on my first pass, but I want to make sure that I get at least 3 of my scores in the book, which means not scratching.
So the first class we're going to see battle that you just described for us is the adventure class, and you've got a couple of those aircraft sitting out in front of you right now. We're waiting for startup folks. I'll walk you through the lineup, and then we'll introduce them to you. You've got Mike Babcock, who's going to be in a 2022 Rands S21. Mike Council, I guess he's got a cheering section here in the booth, in a 1946 PA-12. Tim Shellhorn putting in work yesterday in practice. He's got a special little bonus feature on that aircraft. It's a 2021 Carbon Cub EX2. Joe Dory in the 2006 Piper Pacer, and Joe Pops Dory in his Coyote Ugly aircraft, which we'll see that in just a second.
Which is an experimental PA-18 Super Cub that he's modified highly over the years. He's owned it for a long time, and so it's an airplane he's very adept at. Boy, I've never seen you sweat so much as when your computer screen just went blank right
I thought
here.
we handled that really well.
I thought I was about to see how good you were at tap dancing, as George Strait says, chicken on a hot stove. Woo! All right.
So let's learn a little bit more about the adventure class, and then it'll be time for engine start here in Ontario, Oregon.
My name is Brian Stack. I'm from Mineola, Texas. This is my 2020 Legend MOAC.
Box 1, go.
You know, at the time, I had no idea what I was building. Went and talked to Darren and Randy at Legend Aircraft, and, you know, I just built an airplane that we could go fly in.
And those MOACs make it challenging, don't they?
Oh man, them are some beautiful birds, and pilots are good. You know, it's competition.
He calls this airplane, not only does he call it Pepper, he also says it's part of the wolf pack. You can tell why he says that beautiful wolf on the front.
For STOL, it's hard to beat a Super Cub. It's called a Lycoming 0290. It's only 125 horsepower. Being as lightweight as it does, it seems to compete pretty good, especially in the stall stuff compared to the bigger guys.
Now, Brian Shirley with a scratch for Brian Shirley.
Now I kind of had time to regroup myself, because it does kind of get in your mind a little bit that you got off your routine a little bit, and I was off my routine today altogether. Brand new airplane, just got it done. I've had it in the mountains at my home airport up there is at 8,000. I've had it at Leadville, which is 10,000. Where I'm actually from is Dodge City, Kansas, and I've had it there is 2,600. So yeah, I've had all over the country. It's performing well.
So that is the adventure class, and this class this year in National STOL has been absolutely intense in terms of innovation. We don't have them here today, but you heard Brian Steck in that video package. He's the current adventure class leader in his brand new aircraft, High Strung, the legend Moac. The other person that we've got to look out for, Jared Garrettson and Jeff Daly in their brand new Badlands Travelers. Oregon Trail STOL is an opportunity for these competitors to get further up the season standings in the absence of those heavy hitters. Mike Babcock, in front of you right now, is currently in 9th place this season.
And that beautiful Rand S21 he just completed earlier this year. We saw him compete up at Moses Lake STOL, so it's great to have him down here at Oregon Trail STOL. A lot of the competitors from Moses Lake have been able to come down. It's so great to see National STOL this series in Rodman, Nashville, up in the north, Takeoff in the west, out west.
So that was Mike Babcock in a 2022 Rands S21 from Lakeside, Oregon. Next up, someone that you're going to recognize in race 783 in a 1946 Piper PA-12 from Moses Lake, Washington. It's Mike Council.
Yeah, he's here competing in his first time outside the rookie class. He competed in his initial event in Moses Lake STOL, his hometown, and it was really fun for me, probably the highlight of the weekend to get to compete with my brother, and that was a big reason why I'm here for this weekend as well. When he was able to get away from the hay farm and come down here, then it was like, all right, I got to be here with my brother. So looking forward to it. It's a family event. We got the Dories, Pop and Junior out here as well. And, of course, Steve Henry's got all of his family in town, so it's just always wonderful to see the family aspect of general aviation and National STOL.
Next up in race 173 from Nampa, Idaho, in a 2021 Carbon Cub EX2, Tim Shellhorn.
All right, good-looking airplane. I like the logo, the 1776 saying along the front. Got a Lycon modified engine in it. I did take a look yesterday. We were hearing some variations in his engine RPMs on takeoff. I suspected he had a little special bottle in the back, and I was able to confirm that last night coming home from the social events. I see the tail wheel is all up and ready to go, and here is our Super Bee. This is another local guy, Joe Dory.
That's right, race 530 in the experimental pacer, Joe Dory.
A very experienced competitor, both in traditional STOL and STOL drag. Makes his living flying helicopters here in the Idaho mountains, and his family's just across the about 10 miles east of here is all. So it's great to have them all here, and he always puts on a great show with that experimental short wing Piper.
Interesting that the short wing Piper, we talked about a little bit yesterday during practice too, right? That's another, you've maybe set up the theme for the day. It's all about trade-offs, right? Piper said, oh, we've got to make him go a little bit faster. We've got to change the wings. They made him shorter, and that helps in cruise speed and things like that, but maybe less so. He's working against that the higher the density altitude is.
That's true, and he definitely has smaller flaps. As Bob is getting pulled up to the line by Eric there. So here we start off. Yesterday we were looking at this round of practice, was sitting right at 4,000 feet density altitude, and we are just below that today. I'm sorry, we started at about 3,000. No, we were up at 4, weren't we?
I think about 4 by the time things really kicked off. We're just under 3 already today. And that was actually an hour ago. Here's Mike Babcock on the roll. First takeoff of Oregon Trail STOL.
Oh, that was a nice one.
Putting in work right away for Mike Babcock.
Sitting at around 210 feet. All right, now Mike Council yesterday was pulling maybe just a little bit early. We'll see what he can do. This Super Cruiser is running at 180 horse Lycoming 0360. It's pretty much been turned into a 3-person Super Cub. It's got all the mods. That makes it a little bit heavier, but it's a perfect airplane for what he does in the morning. Looks like the grass got watered because he was throwing some mud off those Alaska bush wheels. Oh, nice! Yeah, good takeoff. That was perfectly timed.
And we're already seeing much shorter distances than we were yesterday. Hopefully that'll stand. I don't know if it's just because it's a little bit cooler. It's a little bit less density altitude right now, but really exciting to see these shorter scores.
So are we going to see a 100-footer out of this Carbon Cub EX right here?
He did some crazy stuff yesterday, and we haven't even talked about his secret weapon at landing.
No, the winds are totally calm, so right now there is nothing helping. These are just true, honest performance numbers. Oh!
Okay. That is, I mean, we're getting down into some adventure class aircraft.
Yeah, 120.
Or, unlimited class aircraft could compete in that regime.
What you saw was a different technique with that, Ryan. A lot of guys will start their takeoff roll with their flaps up or just partially deployed. But no, in that situation, Tim had the flaps all the way down. He was probably some slotted Fowler features on that airplane. I have not had a close-up look of his flaps. But let's see what Joe Dory does. Now, this is a plane flap in the Super B. He's got him at 20, pops him a little bit early, but not bad, right around 185 feet. So a lot better than he had yesterday.
So if we go down the scores now, the takeoff scores, remember it's both sides of it, the takeoff and the landing combined together in a run to get you a composite score. Mike Babcock, who you see turning base to final right now, his takeoff 209 feet. Mike Council a little bit further down at 260. Tim Shellhorn didn't break that sub 100 yet. He's at 117 for that takeoff, and Joe Dory at 182 feet. Here comes Mike Babcock now settling down into ground effect.
Now, he is really low way out there. The trick now is, can you keep it flying the whole way? And no, he comes down about 150, 200 feet short. So he's going to have to throw that into his tool bag and go, that was a little low, a little too far out.
So that run, if you're new to National STOL, that run for him will not count. It'll be a scratch, and he is not yet on the scoreboard. And that can be really disappointing if you have something like that great takeoff, right? You've got a 209-foot takeoff. That's going to be a nice thing to keep in your back pocket. If you lose it on the scratch, it's a little bit of heartache. Here comes Mike Council now.
A little steeper approach path for sure, about a 1.5-degree glide angle. Now he's getting it down into lower ground effect. Slowing it down, little burst of power. There, across the line, good. Get on the brakes. We put some brake fluid in there last night to help out. You see that right one skidding. And right at about 345 feet, I think Mike is going to be pretty happy with that effort.
I just remembered the nickname that aircraft got in Moses Lake. I think we were calling it the Chub Cub because it's that
Chub Cub
greasy.
is what it got called. And he was okay with that.
Okay, Tim Shellhorn now coming in to your left in that Carbon Cub. And we've hinted at something. There's something unique about his aircraft. You'll see it deploy. Just keep your eyes open, and then we'll talk about what it was once you see it.
Good on the line, and I mean right on the line. Nice braking going on. The grass is still wet from being watered and a little bit of dew this morning. Our line judge is waving them off at about 168 feet.
So let's talk about that. Is it a speed brake? He just pops that thing down?
I would call it a speed brake, yes. It reminds me of flying the T-38 and the T-37. We had thrust attenuators and speed brakes that we would deploy on final approach. And what it did is it allowed our straight jet engines to be spooled up and give us better response if we needed to go around. I think what that's doing is it's bringing the RPM up on his Lycoming engine into a more responsive area. It's also giving him some additional lift from Newton's third law, equal and opposite reaction. That air is striking that downward 45-degree angle piece of airframe and pushing down, which pushes the airplane up. As Joe Dory brings the Super B into a really nice just under 200 feet. That may bring him to the top of the leaderboard for round one of the adventure class.
And as they taxi back right now, it's a good time to talk about some of the ways that you can also get involved as we compete here on runway 1533. This is the Cash Preston Lee Troyer Memorial Runway, by the way. We'll talk more about that a little bit later today. Whole community rallying around this young man and building this runway in his memory. But let's talk a little bit about ways that you can get involved. One, nationalstol.com/vote. Go to nationalstol.com/vote, and you can vote for your favorite pilot. I don't know if you can actually vote for Jughead because it's unfair that he's up in the booth. No, I don't know if that disqualifies you or not. Vote for Jughead. You can't vote for me, so vote for him. The fan favorite pilot, actually, there's a prize at stake.
Yeah.
It's different at every event, but...
And one of the things we learned at Moses Lake is us older individuals are not going to win a social media event. There's some young kid out there who is fired up. 10,000 of his young friends or church members or brothers, friends in school, and I think that tends to be the winners of that. I definitely don't spend too much time on the computer and social media.
Don't count yourself out. So that's one way you can get involved. Also, here on site, if you're at Ontario, here's Mike Babcock on the roll. Full throttle.
All right. So 176, not bad. Better than his first one by about 30 feet, but we've got to get it across the line on the landing to make that count.
Mike Council now on the line, checking the controls.
And it's important to realize people are going, well, where's Joe Pops Dory? He's still competing in the adventure class, but I think the production team has moved him into flying later in the show along Steve Henry.
That tail up there.
Nice. Oh, it pulled just a little early. I don't think that is going to be as good as his first, but 270, it's close. It's real close. So consistency is something we're definitely like to see because it lets you know you're in the ballpark and this is all timing. There's no looking at airspeed indicator. It's mental timing. It's the feel of the airplane starting to get light on the gear. It is listening to the airplane, the fabric, knowing when to pull. So I like the fact that those were both within about 25 feet of each other.
Tim Shellhorn, yes, off short. There's that sub 100 we were expecting.
Woo!
He's not messing around today. Joe Dory now taxing up to the line. That Tim is one to watch. I wish he'd be at more events around the season.
Yeah,
we might have to get him in there.
This might be worrying Pops Dory because when Pops flies later, the density altitude is going to be higher. So he has to be hoping that we start to get some wind because right now these are really good conditions and we're seeing the scores a lot better than yesterday. Pops may be missing out on the good air. There you go.
Joe
The thing
Dory.
I love about the Super Bee out there with Joe Dory, a great competition airplane, but he has his family of four in it all the time running through the Idaho backcountry. It is a everyday recreational airplane as well as a very competitive competition airplane.
So as Mike Babcock comes in, I want to make sure you do a couple things for us while you're hanging out today. One, don't forget to visit the merch booth. You gotta show your Oregon Trail STOL pride, and you've got some tater tots hidden on the shirt. Here's Mike Babcock coming in over the line. Good over the line this time.
So he made a big correction. Instead of dragging it in super slow, he brought that one in steep. He guaranteed himself a good score, and it's about 230 feet. So he has one in the books now, and he can go back to taking a more aggressive approach to it. Good decision-making on Mike's part right there.
Now he's got one on the books. That's all you need, and you can work back from there. Also, while we're talking about people here, I think there's like Kona ice and tacos and stuff, so you get hungry later.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing, too. We got it all for you here.
That ice is going to be really good later. All right, the Super Cruiser, Mike Council, nice stable approach, pitching the AOA, hold it across the line. There it is, good. Touches down about 30 feet long on the brakes. It's effective. Left brake is just not quite as good as the right. Gets it stopped just about where he was last time.
In that situation, what we do, just for folks who are wondering at home, we measure from the furthest main wheel from the line. So if you're a little off to the side like that, no big deal, but we are going to take a longer distance from the wheel that's further away.
And there is also a safety aspect that if you get turned too much, or if you can't stay on the main runway, obviously there is a disqualification from a safety perspective. And usually what you'll see happen on that is the pilot will just simply ease off the brakes, get the airplane straightened out, roll it forward, and just give up on that score, basically.
Tim Shellhorn going around that time, I think probably because the runway wasn't quite clear. So our air boss is on top of the broadcast trailer here. We've got very seasoned aircraft controllers, air traffic controllers on the roof, and they will call, hey, Tim, runway's not clear yet, go around. And he'll just go around and come back around the loop for another landing.
Absolutely. All right, Joe Dory now, the Super B out there. He's going to take this one fairly low, pretty early it looks like. Boy, you can sure see that Aero LED nose light flashing on that airplane. Handy today because we got a little bit of smoke out in the Idaho backcountry. A lot of airplanes. It's always great to increase your visibility, and the LED lights do that.
Ooh.
He is good on the line. This is a great one. He is going for the top of the podium with it, maxing out the brakes. Mr. Dory, nice job.
And that one looked really close. I want to watch the replay and see where we're at on the line. Line judge called it good.
Yeah, they didn't even raise the blue flag.
Oh yeah,
it is.
wow.
That's a 2.5, 3 foot past the line. That's as good as it
Woo.
gets just about.
That was incredibly done.
That is perfect. And while we got our STOL airplanes coming down final to the grass runway, we got student pilots coming in and landing on 1-5 here at Ontario. They're using the exact same principles in the STOL competition as you learn as a private pilot. It's just a highly refined and a little closer to the edge.
Yeah, same skill set turned up to 11. Tim Shellhorn now low over the grass.
Speed brake comes down, power comes up.
Oh,
Flaps
wow.
come up right on the line. Very nice job. Tail wheel stays attached.
That was a good one from Tim. I enjoyed that one. That was really great. Let's watch that. Look at him just getting in right over.
Oh, actually about 10 feet past the line, so further than before.
And let's look at our scores now as we get finished the second run of the adventure class here, Oregon Trail STOL. Tim Shellhorn in first place with a combined score of 209 feet. Second place behind him, Joe Dory in that Super B, the Piper Pacer that's been modified, with a combined score of 371 on his first run, only 2 feet longer on his second run. Third place now going to Mike Babcock, now that he's on the board, with a combined score of 458, and Mike Council in fourth with a combined score of 603.
All right, so this is round number 3. They've got 2 more to go. They've got a chance to have gone. Nerves have settled down. They're starting to understand the air. Now it's a little strategery, and that's one of those English words that my daughter likes as well. Going, all right, am I going to go for it all here, or am I going to take a little more conservative approach? I think everybody's got one on the board. I think it's time to go for it.
Joe Dory's family giving him a round of applause as he taxis by them.
As we wait for him to go, I'd sure like to thank Sport Aircraft Seats. They help bring me to my sporting events and give me great comfort when I'm flying cross country, and nice firm seats for me when I'm competing, able to see the line really well. So thanks to Daniel and everybody up in Wasilla, Alaska at Sport Aircraft Seats.
Mike Babcock giving it the beans, flaps down, and he's off around the 225 mark.
All right, we've been 260 and 311 for Mike's takeoff. Let's see if we can get something shorter than those. Nothing happening with the flags out there. Lad Gardner flag, dead. Legend Aircraft flag, nothing. Aero LDs, nothing. See how I worked that in?
That was nice.
That was
nice. That was real pro.
I can't read the other one, so I can't really help much.
Here goes Mike Council on the roll, pulling that tail down a little bit longer, I think. They're looking at like 324-ish.
So it's funny, the angle that we're seeing it, we're looking down about 4 or 5 feet onto the runway, because I thought Mike didn't get off to about 360, but the judges, which are down at wheel level, actually like, no, it's clear back here at around 310 or so. You wouldn't think the parallax from just our position is that much of an impact, but it is. Either that or we just have no idea
We
what
have
we're
no
doing.
idea what we're doing. Here's Tim Shellhorn. Oh, yanking it off. He is out for blood. Whoa,
Wow.
Tim Shellhorn.
I think that's called turning up the pressure on the little blue bottle a bit.
Just a little bit. 86 feet that takeoff for Tim Shellhorn. That deserves a round of applause. Holy cow.
There's some poor guy at the dentist chair right now that's not feeling as good as he'd like.
Joe Dory.
Good one. Nice.
Now, Joe Dory, I don't believe has the little blue bottle.
No, he does not.
And
but look how consistent Joe's
Yeah.
been. 182, 187. I think this one's going to come in just underneath 180. Let's see if we can get about a 176 out of him. Come on. Come on, judges.
Mike Babcock now to your left coming in. Learned from that first scratch. Couldn't quite hold it off that first run. Joe Dory's takeoff, by the way, 178. Hold it off, Mike. Good over the line.
Good on the line. This is a competitor. This is going for the podium. Keeps it about 30-degree off change, but they're going to give it to him. Woo. So here's a little... You got the bonus question nailed perfectly with Ore-Ida potatoes. So, who's our famous person out on the line judging? And what are they famous for? We have a world champion out there.
Oh, I don't know if I know this. I think... I don't know.
If you look right at about the 150-yard line, you'll see a gentleman in his Wrangler jeans and a cowboy hat. That is none other than world-famous Rowdy Berry. He is a former bullfighter in the PRCA, world champion bullfighter, and he got bit hard by the aviation bug. Has a great little grass strip out in southeast Washington with his Kit Fox, and he loves to get out and fly with this, and it's great to have him here and at Moses Lake. So bringing all sorts of people.
That's great. Wow, that's cool. I'll have to shake. That's a hand I need to shake later today. Mike Council coming in with a scratch on that last run.
Just realize when you go to shake the hand of a professional cowboy, it's going to get squeezed pretty hard, so be ready for it.
Right. I'll stretch my hand out first so it doesn't get injured. Okay.
So Mike had two good scores on the board. He went a little aggressive at the line there. It came up just short. I think that's a good strategy, though. And now he can go back on his fourth and one more time and see what he can do, if he can improve it all.
Tim Shellhorn now low over the grass. That speed brake coming out right away this time. And the tail's going to touch. That's fine.
Oh!
Whoa! Diving over the line for Tim Shellhorn.
Wow.
Not afraid to plant it on those mains. That's something that you noticed yesterday, John. He's willing to hurl it down and use those shocks.
And you notice those Acme shots, as soon as they hit the ground, they compress to absorb the impact, but there's no rebound. And so the airplane stays pinned to the ground. You'll notice everybody that's landed, the right tire has been skidding intermittently, while the left tire has been skidding the whole time. So there's a difference in the friction of the braking action out there. And everybody's leaned a little bit to the right. So as a competitor that should be watching, paying attention, you might want to offset your landing one side or the other to get more equal braking action.
Joe Dory over the line. He's good. Keeping that tail down. Right around the 210 mark, maybe, give or take. And as we taxi back, give you the results for this third run, Mike Babcock with a combined score of 385. That's going to be his best so far. Mike Council with the scratch. 208 for Tim Shellhorn. That's his best by a foot. And Joe Dory with 392, 371, still his best, holding him in second place.
Okay, are we going to move anybody around in the standing orders in round 4?
It's still possible. It's still anyone's game. I think Tim's got a little bit of an edge right now on the takeoffs. Well, fairly dramatically, actually, with that 86-foot takeoff that last run. But it all comes down to the landings, right? We've got people. I mean, Mike Babcock's last landing was within striking distance of Tim's landing.
And, of course, Pop Story hasn't flown, though he is in this category, so we'll see what they do when he flies. Could be the upset or the surpriser at the end. Okay, they are all lined up, all 4 airplanes ready. Our line judge, Eric's got Mike at the line, giving him the go from the air boss. Airplane popped off the ground immediately. Hey, I think he's going to like that takeoff. It's going to be real close to his best. It looked like it could have came off just a little bit earlier.
Yeah, very, very clean. Score is going to come in just a second. Here's Mike Council on the line.
Let's see if Council can get another one back in the sub 300 foot range. He was 260 for his first.
And you were correct, John. 210. So just a foot longer than that first one. Here's Mike on the roll. And that right main hanging on a little bit longer. The judge saw it accurately, so that's going to be around the 350, maybe 349 mark for Mike.
Oh, all the scores have been getting a little longer, it seems like. And look at these flags out here now. They are all showing a tailwind component, and that explains why Council's just gone from a 260 takeoff to a 330-foot takeoff. It's only 3-4 mile an hour tailwind, but that makes a big difference.
Tim Shellhorn yanking it off again. His best so far was 80. Kind of a jaw-dropping 86 feet.
And that's what guys were talking about yesterday, Ryan, was the air was very unpredictable. It was just kind of dirty swirling. It didn't have a lot of updrafts and downdrafts, though there definitely were some, but it was never the same air as far as the wind component on the same pass. We had some right crosswind, we had some tailwind, we had some very, very light headwinds at times.
Joe Dory. Full throttle, tail down.
Oh, good one. Again, right in that 180 range.
A couple folks in social we want to say hi to. Ray Powell saying that speed brake seems to work great. Thumbs up emoji. We would agree with that here in the booth, I think. And we've got 80K in the chat from STOL. Couple other folks, Joshua Cole, hello. Ranman, hello. Check me 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. Great to have you in the chat.
Looks like Mike Babcock's family's out there watching online, impressed with the blue airplane, which is justified. There's a nice firm, dropped it in landing over the line for him, getting it stopped pretty short and straight this time. So he converted a lot of that forward energy into downward energy, absorbed it with the suspension, the tires, and good old Mother Earth, and it resulted in a shorter landing.
That may be his shortest of the day.
And his takeoff was only 1 foot longer, so this is going to be the best round for Mike Babcock, because his first takeoff, which was his best by 1 foot, was negated with the scratch on the landing. Mike Council bringing it in quite steep on initial approach. Now he's rounded it out, bleeding it off. Good. His best touchdown. Now let's see if we can get the brakes working to get it stopped. I think he's going to like it.
And by the way, while Mike was coming in, the score did come in for Mike Babcock. That was his best with 359 combined. That's going to push him up into second place now, ahead of Joe Dory. Tim Shellhorn coming in on final approach to your left.
So right now, Tim's sitting at the top of the podium. He may not know that he has basically locked it up in regards to Mike Babcock knocking him off. Of course, Joe Dory could always do it. Too far around the corner here. We need that extra window in the trailer.
We'll add that next season.
We just need to add this whole thing into glass at times, you know.
That speed brake is down. That tail is going to almost touch. Oh.
Super slow on that final approach.
Woo! I am really enjoying watching Tim Shellhorn fly. That is a lot of fun. 90-foot takeoff that run. Let's see what the landing comes in. Best 208 for him. This one not his best, a little bit longer at 214. So the 208's going to hold as his best. It's still going to keep him in first unless Joe Dory pulls off something pretty spectacular because his takeoff was 183 feet. Joe Dory.
Oh, nice on the line.
You can definitely tell there's some pedigree when he flies.
Well, the thing is, Joe only has about 6 more years before he has to come up with another airplane, because his son, the oldest child, is going to be old enough to start flying his own. And you know darn good and well, we're probably going to see 3 generations of Dorys out here competing and flying.
So that is going to wrap up the adventure class here at Oregon Trail STOL. We're going to take a short break and be back with more STOL action after this.
At Aerolids, we believe that innovation is equal parts inspiration and perspiration. Since our inception in 2006, we embarked on a mission to redefine the expectations of aerospace lighting. Entering the aerospace lighting market, which had remained largely unchanged for 50 years and in drastic need of a new product with fresh look and unequaled performance, Aerolids was inspired to redefine the expectations, which resulted in a series of innovative designs. Hungry for new ideas, backed by a company that valued the patronage, customers quickly adopted the new standard of quality, design, and performance never seen before in the industry. Over the past 12 years, Aerolids installation, ranging from the experimental and 23 markets up to the space and military applications, with over 15 tactical military platforms featuring products in both overt and covert operations. Aerolids continues to lead the industry in design, reliability, and unsurpassed performance. Unique in its presence and unmatched in its perseverance, Aerolids serves the aviation market from one spectrum to the next. From you to you too, Aerolids is redefining the expectations.
Basically, every time I do an install, I go in and I download all of the latest manuals to make sure that everything's interconnected correctly. We don't miss anything. We don't miss any on-off switches, any warning lights.
Sarasota was created actually back in the 70s, but we and Bert and Vince, my 2 partners, they've sold their business to Ryan and Sean, which is my two other partners now. We started around in 1999, 2000. Just had one little spot in this hangar, and we've built it up from there. So we've been here for 23 years now. So, and then we have 5 facilities now here in the state of Florida. First starts in Tampa, Sarasota. Venice here is our main headquarters, and we have Punta Gorda and then Fort Lauderdale, Lantana. Then we have partners in Brazil, South Africa, Greece, Tullahoma, Tennessee, all over the world. We're the largest Garmin dealer in the world. So that's probably what we've been known for. So we do more installs on aircraft, general aviation, anything really under 10,000 pounds than anybody else in the world. So, and we've been that for quite a few years now. So.
And we are back here at Oregon Trail STOL in lovely Ontario, Oregon. What a beautiful crowd. I finally get to see you up close. Round of applause for this beautiful crowd. You guys are amazing. How about that adventure class, huh? 4 great pilots back here. It's time to decide, well, we already decided. It's time to tell them what the scores were. In third place, with a combined score of 369 feet, give it up for Joe Dory. Joe, come on over here for a second.
You don't keep this one. Step over here to the third.
Come on over here for a second. How was it up there today? How was the flying?
It was awesome. It was a lot better than practice. The air was a little better today for sure. Not quite as hot, so it was awesome.
Awesome. All right. Next up, in second place. Ooh, this got a little close. With a combined score of 359 feet. Give it up for Mike Babcock in second place. Mike,
yes, sir.
We met each other a couple months ago, and you were flying. You said you've been doing a lot of work on the airplane, trying to balance some stuff out, trying to modify things. How's it feeling in the air right now?
Well, this is day 2 on the prop, so I was pleased as the events went on. Landing 1, as you've seen, was a little embarrassing.
I don't know if you could call it embarrassing. You're competing. All right, everyone, give it up for Mike Babcock. And in first place, with a combined score of 208 feet, give it up for Tim Shellhorn.
Good job, Tim. Thank you.
Tim, I think this is the first time we've met on the circuit. Tell us a little bit about, there's a lot going on with the aircraft. Talk to us a little bit about that air brake you've got going on.
Well, that is actually a speed wing, and if you actuate it more, it turns into a speed brake. So I'm using it as an airfoil today. So it's a culmination of a lot of things going on with that. But it's air actuated, so it's instant on and it instantly releases, and I like it. It works good. Seems to be working good. Is it working okay?
Yeah, it seems like it's working okay. Right. Anyone you want to say hi to at home or in the crowd?
Absolutely, my family. I couldn't be here without them. Thank you very much. They're all right there.
Well, congratulations. Hop on up. We got to get a quick shot over here.
Smile.
Let's give it up for that adventure class. Oregon Trail 2024. It's time to celebrate, gentlemen. Don't spray me yet. Give me a little bit of time not to be sticky. No, don't get me. Oh, by the way, that's not alcoholic. It's not alcoholic, FAA. Everyone's going after, no. The day is young. All right, everybody, give it up for the adventure class. We will be back with more STOL action right after this here in Ontario, Oregon.
Had it in all of our airplanes. Ever since we started with the Piper Saratoga in the early 2000s, we did the pulse oximeter and CO detector in there. We've upgraded to there. Now we have a Cessna 340 that I actually was talking to him in Germany last year, and he was like, oh, you got to put the cabin altitude thing in the plane. I said, well, send it to me. So we put it in there, and it actually is really nice. This aircraft flies above 18,000, 10,000 feet. So up to 23,000 feet the other day, the cabin altitude light comes on the manufacturer's panel, and boom, the CO Guardian comes on and says, all right, you're above 10,000, your cabin altitude is above 10,000 feet. So watch out. So it's kind of nice to have that redundancy in the plane. So for a pressurized aircraft, that is so important for me. I get that oxygen mask ready, make sure my oxygen is good.
Well, a friend of mine, actually it was Corey Robin, told me about these Flying Eyes glasses while we were at Oshkosh. We went and checked them out, and they're awesome. But what I really like is the glasses themselves. They're very light. The earpieces are real thin and flexible, so you don't even know you have them on under a headset. If I put my headset on, I mean, they're just as comfortable as could be, and they're so thin, I can actually take them on and off without removing my headset. I couldn't do that with my other glasses. And then the other really cool thing about these, they make some awesome sunglasses, but they have these cool sunglass lenses that just snap on. So now instead of having to carry a big extra glass case in my pocket, that's all I got to carry to take my sunglasses with me. So there's several things about them that I'm really, really liking. Flying Eyes, awesome glasses.
Well, that was exciting. I was hoping not to get sprayed by sparkling grape juice that early in the day. I'm a little wet now, but I'll be all right. I'll push through. John, we learned a lot of great things about Tim's aircraft there in that interview. Air actuated. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting maybe a manual, Johnson bar type deal.
Wow.
So that's pretty fancy
that is
stuff.
Cool. So. I was enjoying just sitting in this nice, great USA trailers that is set up for our production. It's set up for the narrators. It's set up to have this air conditioner right beside me, which I was greatly enjoying because it is getting warmer and warmer here at Oregon Trail National STOL as we get ready for our next class. And it's a great time to tell our folks about our more great sponsors. Saratoga Avionics out there would tell us exactly what the density altitude is because it is a factor for us today.
Yeah, that's right. Excuse me, I've got a little bit in my throat there. Sarasota Avionics, long-term partner of National STOL, and they're once again offering Garmin prizes for the Unlimited class winners. You can see the Unlimited class a little bit later today. They're your authorized Garmin dealer and the #1 aircraft avionics installing dealer in the nation. So check them out. Yeah, you have that GPS, that Garmin GPS on your panel. It's going to tell you exactly what's going on in the sky. So appreciate all their help. Let's do a quick recap of the results of the adventure class that you just saw. In 4th place, Mike Council with a combined score of 603. Joe Dory up in 3rd place with 369. Mike Babcock 359, only 10 feet separating those two. We're hearing about that at the campfire tonight. And Tim Shellhorn, 1st place, combined score of 208 feet. Now, next up, which is one of my favorite classes because it's time for the heavies. It's time for the touring class. You're going to see some great pilots flying here. We got John Douglas in a 1964 Cessna 182, Ty Burlingham in a 1967 Cessna 180, Mark Burgess in the 1953 Cessna 180. Interesting battle between the two of them yesterday.
Super close.
And Kyle Bushman in the Boss, the 2024 Backcountry Super Cub. Let's check out a little bit more. Let's learn a little bit more about the touring class this season, and we'll be back with Engine Start.
Jeff Abrams from Ocala, Florida. Fly an aircraft called Piperzilla, 1965 Cherokee 180. Just enjoy it. It's a great experience, something different to do with the airplane versus just fly around the traffic pattern or go to nearby restaurants or whatever in the airplane, and gets me far away from home.
My name's Warren Grobelar. I'm from Naples, Florida, and I fly a 1955 Cessna 180. Action!
It's a 1990 PZL 10480. It's a Wilga. It was designed as a STOL airplane, but it had a lot of different uses. They dropped parachuters, and they've seen them with floats on them, and I think they tried to put rockets on them at one point. They're a pretty useful airplane. They didn't take off real big over here in the United States, but it's too bad because they're a pretty neat airplane.
Hello, I'm Brandon Korn. I'm flying the Cessna 205 out of Hearne, Texas, and I'm in the heavy touring class. There's some tough competition out here.
I got no expectations of winning anything here, just trying to have some fun and kind of get my feet wet.
Well, it felt good. It's definitely a lot different flying in this high altitude, but I like it. You gotta really nurse it off the runway though. Got some competition out here. Aaron over there, flying all over the country. So we're having lots of fun.
So that is the touring class, and again, I love it because it's the heavies. It's the biggest, the baddest airplanes. Got a lot of weight to contend with. The pilotage it's very extreme, and we're going to see some really fun things today. Anything from practice in the touring class, Jughead, that you think we should pay attention to today?
Well, the thing that I saw yesterday was Ty Burlingham and Mark Berg in a set of early 180s, and they were neck and neck. Every takeoff, every landing was very consistent and very equal between the two airplanes. Well, I was talking with Ty. He's like, yeah, I still had half fuel in the airplane. I've got to go fly it out in the morning, and I saw him do that. And then Mark was camped next to me last night, and I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I had to go fly all my fuel off this morning. I was way too heavy yesterday.
Oh, no.
So they both were heavy yesterday, but were equal. They are both light now, so we should see the performance greatly increase, but I think the level of competition is going to be just as tight. But what you don't realize is the boss, Kyle Bushman, flying the Boss aircraft. It's a Backcountry Super Cub. It is basically 50% bigger than a Cessna 185, and it is taking off and landing in Super Cub type numbers and distances. So that is going to be absolutely incredible for people to see. A very different sound to the airplane, just a hardcore, throaty, big IO 540. And then, of course, here's one of our first tricycle gear airplanes, the old Vulnerable 182. It's absolutely great all-around airplane. And this man can definitely fly it. He's down here in the thin air because he's used to Wyoming where it's 8, 9, 10,000 foot density altitude in the summer. He's like, oh, 3,000 feet, I can do this.
Yeah, it's
real easily.
Little thicker down here. So right there, as Jughead was talking, in race 307 from Pinedale, Wyoming, give it up for John Douglas in the 1964 Cessna 182. He and his wife are actually the host. His wife Angela and John host Pinedale, so we were just over there a few weeks ago.
Yes. Now you'll notice between our two 180s when they pull up the line, the first one here, Ty, you'll notice has the Horton STOL kit on it with aerodynamic VGs. And you will see our second 180 flown by Mark has the Sportsman STOL kit on it out of Will Steen in Polson, Montana. It's also running the aerodynamic VGs. So not only opposite STOL kits, but very equal performance so far. Traditionally, the older 180s are a little bit lighter. I don't know the empty weight for both of our competitors today.
So in race 200 from Woodburn, Oregon in the 1967 Cessna 180, Ty Burlingham, the red and black one. And right after him in race 282 from Bend, Oregon, so it's also a local state grudge match as well in a 1953 Cessna 180, Mark Burgess.
Yeah, and Ty flies helicopters for a living, and so he's probably trying to channel some of that inner hovering capability, vertical takeoff capability to apply to his 180 today.
And then, of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention from Eugene, Oregon, in the 2024 Backcountry Super Cub, the Boss, race number 77, give it up for Kyle Bushman.
And it's only natural that maybe an Oregon guy wins the first National STOL event, the Oregon Trail National STOL. Though a lot of the people that came across that trail came through Wyoming. So, I don't know. There's still a tie there.
Now, you had a question about empty weights, and actually Ty mentioned this to me last night. Ty Burlingham in the red and the black Cessna 180. He's actually the heaviest empty weight of the competition with 1,855 pounds empty. The boss, that giant brick of an airplane, is 1,750 pounds empty. Green flag is up. John Douglas is going to give it the beans in just a second, and it's time for touring class here in Ontario, Oregon.
Oregon Trail STOL winds are calm. The 182 is rolling. Let's see what the Wyoming Cowboy can do. Comes off pretty clean at about 345 feet. I liked it. Good timing. There's where you saw it's a short leg 182. We can talk about what that means later. But about maximized his AOA. The tail skid was just above the ground when the airplane lifted off.
Here's Ty Burlingham now in that red and black Cessna 180. Got to drop the gauntlet against these other aircraft behind him. Very clean. Any coaching on that?
That looked pretty good. It would have flown just slightly earlier. The tail wasn't all the way down when it lifted off, but very similar to what we saw yesterday. A little bit of tailwind component starting to develop.
Here's Mark Burgess now in the 180. They're calling it around 274. That's a popular spot today. Kyle Bushman waiting treacherously in the boss. That thing is just so huge. And wait till you see, folks, the amount of flap. You're going to see him actuated in just a second. Tail up. And he is off in a
Now
huge
that
airplane.
was definitely longer than what we saw yesterday out of the boss. So, oh, but look at these winds. These flags are really dirty wind down here at around the 200-foot mark.
So takeoff scores thus far on the first run of the touring class. John Douglas with 337. Ty Burlingham with 287. Mark Burgess a little bit shorter, 273. And Kyle Bushman with 210 feet on the takeoff. Kyle Bushman actually won touring at Rocky Mountain STOL a few weeks ago with a combined score of 321. Now, again, very different conditions. We were light on the wind, but we also had super high density altitude. We had a super high field elevation. So not really an apples-to-apples comparison today, but just putting it in perspective, he is kind of the leader heading into this event. Here's John Douglas now. Holding it.
Oh, good on the line. Very nice. Right at it. Skidding the mains. That's an advantage of the tricycle gear again. Fishtailing left and right, stopping it at about 344 feet.
I talked to Angela. By the way, Angela Douglas and John Douglas, again, just amazing people with Pinedale and the event they put on there. My favorite part of them is anytime I'm hungry, Angela just appears with these like meat sticks from Wyoming. It was like yesterday, I think she handed me roadkill. It was delicious. I don't know what was in it, but it was great. She said, I asked him what she have to do today. She says, not scratch. Here's Ty over the line.
Now, he was over the line a lot further than he would like to be to probably find himself at the top of the podium. Overall score not bad at about 284, but he gave up about 30 feet on that first touchdown. But as we've been saying, Ryan, he's got one in the books.
And once you've got one in the books, you can take a little more from a, I guess I would call it like a competitive risk standpoint. You're not going to do anything risky in the aircraft from a safety perspective. Here's Mark Burgess now.
Definitely bringing it down lower behind the power curve earlier. Let's see if he can keep up with the power. Floating that Sportsman, biting all the air. Good across the line at about 20 feet past it approximately. Maybe a little late on the braking, but it's going to be almost the exact same place that Ty stopped. Just like yesterday. Very, very close competition between these two 180s.
Kyle Bushman now to your left in that base to final turn. Just hovering that thing in. And we were talking about the flaps on this aircraft yesterday. You said it felt like you were at work a little bit looking at those flaps.
Well, there's 3 sections of the flaps. They cover about 75% of the span of these wings. I haven't seen them deployed up close, so I don't know if they're an actual slotted Fowler flap. But when you look at the back of the airplane with the flaps down, I feel like I'm looking at my 737 at work with its huge slotted Fowler flaps. It is just a massive wall of flaps producing lift. Ailerons out at the end. Of course, when you're slow this way, the rudder's your primary roll control input. Super stable air, really nicely just across the line. Kyle is definitely going to be happy with that one. 152 feet approximately. That was a lesson in massive aerodynamic performance.
Whoa.
A big airplane, a big pilot, super stable, safe approach.
So
it had a very competitive.
That completes the first run of the touring class here in Oregon Trail STOL. Let's take a look at where the standings are coming out of that. Kyle Bushman with a combined score of 360 feet. A full 200 feet behind them at 560 is Mark Burgess. And then just 13 feet behind him is Ty Burlingham. And John Douglas in fourth with 680. So Kyle Bushman with an incredibly healthy lead right now coming out of the first run. And we'll see what Mark and Ty do. I bet we'll trade them back and forth a little bit here and there as we move on to the second run. Now, as we get ready for the second run, we are joined by a special guest in the booth. There we go, sir. We get you hooked up with the mic. We've got John here, who's the CEO and president of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and I just want to say thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. And I'm kind of curious. I heard you guys talking during lineup about Kyle being from Oregon and winning this thing, and now you guys seem surprised by his score in that big airplane. He's over there looking at that airplane and talking with Kyle about a 4-seater versus a 2-seater and getting educated on the importance of a grass runway and how the pilots like grass and not asphalt, and it's been great. Ryan, thank you. Thank your team, Karen, Tom, and everybody for bringing this to Ontario. We are thrilled. We hope it's a long-time relationship.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here, and the hospitality has been absolutely through the roof, and we just appreciate it so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you, John. Appreciate it, and all your folks in the chamber. We can't wait to be back. Great town.
Thank you very much.
All right, our second takeoff there out of our 182, again coming in at around 325, 350 feet as we were finishing that interview. And so now Ty's second chance here, Ryan, in his 180. Let's see if we can get a little better. Ooh. Wow, they are just glued to that 275-foot marker. Judges are conferring back there, both left and right. We've got several judges right in that area. We try to get our most accurate scores with multiple judges right in the same area. They've made a decision, and now our Marco is rolling.
And off maybe a little longer.
That definitely was. Now, I can say as a competitor, I was following behind Jethro in the Beast yesterday, who is probably my biggest competition in my class, and it's at the starting line. It's hard to tell where they got airborne. You can't really tell by watching the airplane. You can watch where the judges start to confer, but you can't get accurate. It's just it's in this range. So if you're trying to play a little bit of mind games with your competitor and watch and see what he does, it's not easy. I need to get some Wi-Fi feed in my airplane and listen to you and get direct feedback. Maybe that's the advantage I need.
We can figure that out for you. Okay,
but that's more weight, and then weight hurts performance, and yeah,
I don't know. You gotta decide how valuable my voice is. So let's remind everyone: nationalstol.com/vote open now for fan favorite voting. Could be any of these pilots. Could be pilots you saw in the adventure class or pilots coming up later today. We also want to remind you about the upcoming 2024 events. Registration is now open for Music City STOL. That's October 11th and 12th in Gallatin, Tennessee. We've got live country music artists who are going to be performing throughout the day. We've got Noah Hicks, Connor McCutcheon, just added Madeline Consor. So got some 3 great country music artists to entertain you all day. That's October 11th and 12th in Tennessee. And then Lone Star STOL, the national finals, November 1st and 2nd in Sulphur Springs, Texas.
Our 182 is back to the line, and the blue flag comes up. That's indicating to us that that was a scratch. So that takeoff and that landing score will not count. Now, the question is, does he know he's scratched? Because if it's right at the line, you don't know.
Well, and one thing that we've seen at some events is competitors think they scratched. It's the inverse. They think they've scratched when they haven't, and they'll roll all the way out to the end, and then it just ruins that score. So the advice I always give in my, I am not qualified to give any, is make sure you get on those brakes. Here's Ty Burlingham. He's going to get on those brakes right now, locking those wheels up.
Hey, look, they're right by the 275 marker again.
What is going on? There's a little Velcro there, something.
Now, here's what Ty needs to do. His landings have been consistent, but he's been consistently landed 25 to 30 feet long. He's got 2 in the books, which are almost identical. He needs to go for the line and get one, no kidding, right at the line and throw the gauntlet down. There I am using your gauntlet word. That's the only time I get to use it.
All right, that's fine.
So Mark really has to go at it as well because they're really close on scores, but he's just given up too much at the line.
So Ty Burlingham into second now with 5:37. Mark, what's he going to do with it?
Because Mark was there right at the line like he'd like to be. Maybe not as good as his first one or his second. 274. So it's going to come down to a landing distance spot. It's who can get the line best.
So Ty did jump into second place right before Mark's landing. We're waiting for the score to pop in to see if they trade back. And looking at the numbers, I'm not predicting a change.
But we're talking less than 15 feet difference between the 2 airplanes, it looks like. All right, the beast, or the boss, Kyle Bushman, has come around the corner. Wig-wag LED lights flashing out there. Of course, the 35-inch Alaska bush wheels and the wingspan of about 45 feet make it real obvious to see this airplane. Very low, very slow, very stable, though. Such an honest wing on this backcountry Cub. Good visibility allows him to dump those flaps, hit the line quite accurately. We'll have to go back and see just how close on the video, but the checkered flag, Ryan, tells us that the judge said it was good.
Here we go on the replay. Oh. After
That's
review,
still in the air. That's good.
They're calling that a scratch because I think it right there on that frame.
Oh.
They've got some that couldn't have been closer for Kyle Bushman. Wow, judges not messing around in the booth, taking that one away from him.
Woo.
And that, I mean, let's be real. Kyle Bushman still holding well in front, 200 feet in front of Mark Burgess, but Ty, I guess, a little bit less than 200 feet now. It would have been a better run for Kyle Bushman for sure. As they taxi back, I also want to mention our friends at Red Tag Art. So I mentioned the Nationals are coming up, the finals in Sulphur Springs. They're Red Tag Art, one of our sponsors. They are creating custom season trophies. This is a company that makes handcrafted art and home goods that are aviation themed out of red tagged aircraft parts. You can go check them out at redtagart.com. Here's John Douglas now on the roll in the tricycle gear aircraft.
They're calling that around 330 feet. Now, one of the disadvantages with that 182 right now is he's running the stock tires. So, looks like 6-inch tires even, not even 8s. In this tall, thick grass here, this beautiful grass runway at Ontario Airport, that definitely slows down the acceleration. It makes takeoff longer, but it does help him with his landings.
Ty Burlingham now Looking to defend
There you
second
go.
place. That was nice and clean. And again, the heaviest aircraft here today based on empty weight. Mark Burgess on the line.
And I think we're going to see maybe Ty's best takeoff. They're looking somewhere in the just around 270 mark, maybe 268 or so. Oh, that was a great takeoff by Mark. I don't know if he was sleeping on the others. The wind doesn't really look like there's a maybe two to 3 knots of headwind component, but that was a great takeoff. If he can, he's been putting down good landings right at the line. This is really going to be close between these two.
Ty Burlingham's takeoff score 263. Mark right behind, right in front of him, 259. Here's Kyle Bushman now. Woo. That is a nice short takeoff for him. That may be his best. His previous best takeoff was 191. The judges are around that 175 mark. Kyle Bushman, by the way, just like one of the best personalities in bush flying. So kind, so willing to chat and teach and inspire. And I think we talked about this yesterday, but he got me up in the boss at AirVenture. And that airplane is so tall. Just put in perspective, folks. I needed a boost. Someone had to lift me up into the aircraft.
To put in perspective, Dakota, who I just pointed at my 180 or my 170, which was on 180 gear legs and 31-inch bush wheels, I just point at it and go load up, and he jumps in. We went to the boss today. Dakota had to jump up on the 35-inch bush wheels, and then from there jump up into the airplane. So it's a double Dakota jump to get into the boss. That's how big that airplane is.
A double Dakota jump or a Ryan Dombrowski butt push. Here is John Douglas now. Oh, right on the line there.
Playing the throttle perfectly. But a tough one to get stopped. Okay, here we are. And this is
just 4 feet between Ty and Mark on their takeoffs.
All right, we need Ty to find the line. He's looking a little high here. This may be dropping it down. There it is. It was much better. The checkered flag is up. That's exactly what he needed. Get it stopped. He keeps getting to that 275, a little bit shorter. 269 maybe? So better on the line, not as good of braking action to get it stopped.
I'm just staring at this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I want to see what comes in here. 265.
265. His best by 2 feet and better than Mark has on the board right now.
So Ty's now got a combined score of 528. Mark currently sitting at 560.
And
best.
Mark has his best takeoff on this pass. So if he can make this landing work, he can stay ahead of Ty going into the 4th round.
Ooh, holding it off.
Oh, and it's right on the line.
They really love stopping right there.
We can just say ditto. Come back in 30 minutes. Ditto, ditto, ditto. These two. Wow.
528, the score to beat. Mark Burgess with 527.
He does it. A 268-foot landing. So his best landing combined with his best takeoff for both of those competitors in the 3rd round. The winds haven't gone in their favor. They've been bit by some tailwind on the 2nd round. So it is all going to come down to the 4th round. The question is do they know they're that close?
Do they know
Are
that
they
they're
getting
just a
text
foot
messages from their friends and family?
You're only a foot apart. You're only a foot apart. Okay. Kyle Bushman hanging out in first place, kind of healthily right now. Coming up to the line.
A little long for what we've seen out of Kyle. But still, just it's amazing. That airplane, again, you can't understand how big it is until you see it next to a 180, 185, and it's another 40% bigger. But it flies like a Cub.
So one more run for the touring class here in Ontario, Oregon. The season standings for the touring class, by the way, John McCardle got some cool helicopter things going on behind us here that are distracting me a little bit. John McCardle currently in the lead in the touring class with a combined score of 94 points. Brandon Korn, last year's champion, 88 points. Luke Strandlin in third place with 53 points, and Kyle Bushman in fourth with 51 season points. This is going to push Kyle up further up into that touring class as we get ready for the finals in a couple months. John Douglas, who is on the line right now, currently in fifth place with 45 season points. So a bit of a shakeup in the season standings as well, I think, after today.
So Nashville and Sulphur Springs is going to come into play even more.
And I got to wonder if Brandon Korn and John McCardle are wishing they'd made the trip out west. John Douglas giving it the beans for the final time of Oregon Trail STOL.
Oh, that was a good one. That is probably his best. They're talking 327. It's definitely cooler today than it was yesterday, Ryan.
You sure that's not just the air conditioning in the broadcast trailer?
No, it's a lot less dust, and it's cooler, even in the America Trailers air-conditioned trailer. Yeah.
Ty Burlingham on the roll, getting that tail nice and high. He's pulling for it.
All right, that looks like that could be real close to his best takeoff as well. Can we follow it up with the landing to match it?
Want to give credit where credit's due, by the way. Best takeoff of the day for John Douglas, who's in the pattern right now. And you were correct. Ty Burlingham with 258-foot takeoff right there. So that's his best of the day. Mark Burgess on the roll. Can he get his best of the day?
Woo! I don't know if it'll be his best, but it's very close. It's very consistent.
Do you feel like he could have pulled just a little sooner on that one? Hard to say?
Hard to say.
Kyle Bushman's getting ready to shovel some air out of the way, if I can quote our friend Corey Robin. Woo.
Wow.
And that's why I love the touring class, because there's just something magical about seeing such big airplanes take off so short. So capable.
Wow. That was good. That was good. So did you enjoy last night going out to the farm, the barbecue? Wasn't that wonderful?
Yeah, I mean, again, thanks to the city of Ontario for all the kindness and the hospitality. Yeah, we had some good food, some good fellowship, some nice conversations, and there was paintball there.
Paintball, yeah.
I didn't do it. Did you do any
the zip
paintball?
line? We didn't. We put Dakota out in the cornfield. The bird dog went in and found some quail and pheasant.
Okay.
And so he had some fun and then went swimming in the river, which felt great out at McCormick's. But, yeah, the zip lining and the cornhole, and it was such a wonderful place. So if you're looking for something here in the Ontario area to get your friends and family out to, definitely head on out to McCormick's farm. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, Montgomery. I'm sorry. My apologies. Montgomery Farms. The Irish cousins.
Oh, I got you.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's John Douglas now on short final. Oh, and
that
it's going to be a
touch
scratch.
in short. But you know what? He had some good ones on the board. It was worth going for it.
And that would have been, I mean, it wasn't that short of it. That would have been probably his best landing if you kind of adjust for where the line was. Ty Burlingham now in third place by a foot.
Fighting for a spot, second spot on the podium.
His takeoff 7 feet shorter than Mark's.
Oh, on the line. Nice. A little bit of bounce, which hurts, but I think this is going to be his best landing yet. Sub 250 feet. He throws down the G word.
The gauntlet. There we go. He's circling the wagons.
Wow.
Okay. Mark coming around base to final. Probably saw that out the window. Probably not exactly sure how short it was, though.
God, look at this great crowd we've got here at Ontario. Oregon STOL is bringing them in, and that's just due to the great effort from the City of Ontario, the Ontario Airport, getting the word out. The EAA chapter, a good one for Mark.
Where is he going to get it stopped? Oh, it's going to come down to it. 5:02 is the combined score for Ty.
The Cowboy says it's coming in at about 241 feet approximately. That's unofficial. Let's see what they post.
Oh, it's going to be real tight. It's going to be real close, folks. 5:07. Oh, 5 feet. So Ty back into second place. That
wow.
I say a lot in the award ceremony, so you can go, ooh, that is an ooh-worthy separation there. Just 5 feet separating those two competitors. Kyle Bushman then, this landing a bit of a formality with his best run, his first one at 360 feet combined. Holding it off.
Good.
Those
Very
gear.
good.
Woo! That was one heck of a touring class. As they get ready to taxi back and get the final results, we need to thank a few of our sponsors. First, we got to talk about Legend Aircraft. They normally compete in the adventure class. None of them here today, but we are going to see them at their factory at the finals in Sulphur Springs. The Legend Cub continues to be the most coveted American manufactured sport aircraft. They combine the best from the past with an obtainable wish list of modern enhancements. American Legend Aircraft Company has engineered in all of the safety, comfort, and convenience options imaginable. Go to legend.aero to learn more. And we also got to talk about it. I don't need any caffeine, frankly, because the touring class was pretty exciting. But if you need a little caffeine, check out Legendary Aviation Coffee Company. That's where aviation passion flirts shamelessly with the seduction of coffee roasting. You can join the caffeinated joyride and elevate your coffee experience by going to Legendary Aviation Coffee Company's website and using coupon code STOL10 for 10% off your order. So thank you to them. They've been caffeinating us all week. A little bit in the morning helps, but not when you've got competition this exciting.
And, of course, our great local sponsors here. We've already talked about the City of Ontario, Ontario Chamber of Commerce out there as well. The EAA Chapter 387 has been feeding us in the mornings. It's been wonderful. Montgomery Farms, Dakota's favorite out there. Aerostar International, world leader in design and manufacture of highly technical aerospace and defense solutions. That piques my interest. That sounds good.
What is going on over there?
Ore-Ida Potatoes, the Ontario Speedway, Oregon's only sprint boat track. Have you ever been to a sprint boat race?
No, but it looks intense.
When you have roll cages on boats and you use them on a regular basis, it is incredible. And, of course, Jacobs and Porta Pros helping to round out. And, of course, Fighting Classics Air Museum here in the Ontario Airport. So thanks to everybody in the Ontario and the Treasure Valley who has welcomed everyone to the Oregon Trail National STOL event. It's been great to be here. It's been fun flying, and we are really thankful for it.
So let's go back to another word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with the awards for the touring class. What's up, Av Geeks and STOL Freaks? Welcome to Lone Star STOL here in beautiful Sulphur Springs, Texas. It's Luke's for everybody, 2019 American Legend Aircraft BOAC. Round of applause for Chuck Olmstead. In the gray and orange BOAC, Ryan Shirley, everybody.
what you've been waiting for. That's right, the beast mode coax, Colin Kaniva.
Oh my goodness gracious. Frank Knapp showing that he deserves to belong here. Whoa, that was legendary.
Basically, every time I do an install, I go in and I download all of the latest manuals to make sure that everything's interconnected correctly. We don't miss anything. We don't miss any on-off switches, any warning lights, or
And we are back here on the dirt here at Ontario, Oregon. Hey guys, what about that touring class? Pretty great, huh? Nice. We got a wonderful crowd here in Oregon today. It's been so awesome to meet all of you. Now it's time to get down to business with the touring class. What a fight. What a fight. Okay. There's, guys, I don't know if you realize how close this is. In third place, with a combined score of 507, remember that number, 507 feet, Mark Burgess. Mark, let's talk a little bit about how it was flying out there for you today.
It was great. Competing against these guys is pretty awesome, and it's a really fun time. So it's good, and it helps make you a better pilot too, and the whole crew here that's running the National STOL is awesome, so I'm really stoked to be a part of it.
Well, thank you so much. Get on up there.
3!
Okay, remember that number, 507, with a combined score of 502 feet. Yeah, you see the look on Mark's face. Ty Burlingham. Ty, that is, you guys were trading. You guys were trading the whole time. You talked to me yesterday a little bit about the aircraft. You said it's actually the heaviest here. What was it like today competing?
I was a blast, like it always is. I had a little inside information on before run 4. I got a text that said I was outside of a foot and in third, so I put it all on the line on the last one. Probably could have got a little slower, but it's a big girl, so.
Yeah, that's right. In case you didn't know, you were a foot separating each other out of the third run, so really competitive. All right, get on up there, buddy. And Kyle, 306 feet combined for first place. Give it up for Kyle Bushman. Kyle, talk to me about the boss. We've been you and I have been talking a lot lately.
Sure,
because we keep having these conversations. You keep tweaking stuff, you keep changing stuff. What do we have to look forward to later in the season?
Well, first off, this is my favorite flying condition, hot, muggy, no wind, because it makes every pilot really know their airplane. So for me, this is the best conditions to fly in. And I want to thank everyone at Ontario and thank Backcountry Super Cubs for such an awesome airplane. But throughout the year, we're keeping it exactly the way it is. It's all the seats are in, all the interior, 20 gallons of gas. It's a utility aircraft, so that's how we're going to keep it.
Anyone you want to say hi to at home right now?
Katie Bushman. Next time you're coming to Texas.
All right, Katie, you heard it here. Get on up there, Kyle. Give it up for the touring class. And give it up for Mr. Douglas over here as well. Pinedale, Wyoming. Great show there as well. And I'm going to stand further away. You guys can go ahead and celebrate, but I'm getting really far away this time. All right, everybody, they're going to sort that out and get dried off, and we'll be back with more STOL flying right after this.
At Aerolids, we believe that innovation is equal parts inspiration and perspiration. Since our inception in 2006, we embarked on a mission to redefine the expectations of aerospace lighting. Entering the aerospace lighting market, which had remained largely unchanged for 50 years and in drastic need of a new product with fresh look and unequaled performance, Aerolids was inspired to redefine the expectations, which resulted in a series of innovative designs. Hungry for new ideas, backed by a company that valued the patronage, customers quickly adopted the new standard of quality, design, and performance never seen before in the industry. Over the past 12 years, Aerolids installation, ranging from the experimental and 23 markets up to the space and military applications, with over 15 tactical military platforms featuring products in both overt and covert operations. Aerolids continues to lead the industry in design, reliability, and unsurpassed performance. Unique in its presence and unmatched in its perseverance, Aerolids serves the aviation market from one spectrum to the next. From you to you too, Aerolids is redefining the expectations.
A special thanks to all our sponsors: Ladd Gardner Insurance, Aviation Protected, Legend Aircraft, not your grandfather's Cub. Get the right trailer for your job with usatrailersdirect.com. Sarasota Avionics, your authorized garment dealer. FlightHelmet.com, specializing in sales and service of flight helmets. Use code NSTOL50 for $50 off. Flying Eyes Optics, the lightest and most comfortable aviation sunglasses around. Lift Aviation, bridging the gap and making products that are stronger and lighter that you can trust. Aero LEDs, serving every spectrum of the worldwide aviation market. Red Tag Art, innovative and handcrafted aviation art and home goods. Legendary Aviation Coffee Company, where aviation passion flirts shamelessly with the seduction of coffee roasting. iFly EFB. Fly your freedom. It's different up here. Tundra Tailwheels. Upgrade your aircraft today at tundratailwheel.com.
Okay, well, that was an exciting touring class.
That was our tightest competition that we may see all day.
Yeah, absolutely. And like literally at one point separated by 1 foot. And we got to learn a little bit more about this, but I was talking to the pilots at the end of that, and they said, we actually have a little inside bet here going on. They each called what they thought their scores would be and to see who got the closest without scratching. And I don't know what the prize is. They said, we'll explain it later. So some scheming happening in the touring class, a little side competition there. Love to see that, and everyone having fun.
Well,
which is what
we'll
it's
see
all
if we
about.
can get the true story out of them at the awards banquet tonight at 6 o'clock.
So we are getting, actually, let's review the scores of that. So John Douglas in 4th place with 680 feet. Mark Burgess, 507. Ty Burlingham, 5 feet in front of him with 502. And Kyle Bushman with a combined score of 306 feet, bringing him up into first place. It's time now to shift gears over to the rookie class. And here's who you're going to see flying. You're going to see Justin Harrison in a 1947 Stinson 108, Chris Nelson in the 2011 Dress and Escape, and Sean Coleman in the 1990 Taylorcraft F-22. So that's going to be a fun thing to watch. Let's learn a little bit more about the rookie class, and then we'll kick things off.
This is the first National STOL event. I vowed I would never compete. I'm like, it's not for me. And I still say I'm not competing. I'm in the rookie class, just the most laid-back class. There's no regulation on what kind of plane you have or anything else. It's just kind of the newer people that are just kind of getting into it as an introductory lesson.
I'm Rod Hewitt. This is my dad, Steve Hewitt, world's greatest pilot, CFI II. Take note of this thing. This is the winning plane here.
If I finish the day, I'll be happy. So, you know, if I finish last, it's a win.
My aircraft is a 1955 Cessna 170B. Some of the modifications that I've done to it, I put the Continental IO 370, 195 horsepower engine with an 83-inch Hartzell constant speed propeller. Put titanium landing gear on.
As a rookie, you get out there and it's like you see all these people and then everything changes, you know. It's kind of wild.
And you talked a little bit earlier about the performance modifications. You're not looking to make this thing a hot rod, right?
Oh no, it's a PA-11. There's nothing hot rod about it.
Pat McIntyre, I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm in the rookie class. This is my first time competing at one of these events. I've attended many of them, but first time being a participant. It's wonderful.
It was a good run. The landings were so-so.
Oh, with a scratch.
So just go out there and, you know, energy power management, that kind of stuff, figure out where the line is, find out what the wind's doing. Yep, just go out and have a good, safe day.
So if you're on the fence about this and think, I can't do this, this is for pros, you're wrong. If you've got an airplane and you've got a little bit of skill, this place is for you. It's a home.
One of the most exciting things about watching that is all the competitors that used to be rookies and are now heavy hitters in the series.
Exactly. I was noticing that myself there. And what I'm noticing out here in front of us now is we have three very distinctive different airplanes. We've got a great Stinson Station Air. We have one of three Dress and Escapes, which I finally learned a little bit more about that airplane last night. And we've got a Taylorcraft out here, so some classics from the 40s and 50s. And they're going to get out here, get their feet wet for the first time in true competition. They did a nice job yesterday, Ryan, in practice. Every pass they made, they were learning, shortening up their passes, improving on their techniques and skills. And so I'm real anxious to see what they do now in front of a really good crowd here at Oregon Trail STOL in true competition for the first time.
Probably a little bit of nerves, right? A little nerves going through the body and your mind as you get ready for the first time out. This is race number 618 from Nampa, Idaho. It's a 1947 Stinson 108 flying station wagon piloted by Justin Harrison. And give them a cheer, folks. They can hear you in the cockpit, especially when the doors are off like that.
And this is a three-ship of local boys. I mean, these guys are probably flying together on the weekends or going to Johnson Creek, whatever, maybe down to the Oahe Reservoir. And here they are out competing for the first time.
Next up, from Parma, Idaho, the 2011 Dress and Escape Race 393, piloted by Henry Nelson.
So Henry was telling me this is basically one of three planes that were built by Mr. Dressen. They were all built at the same time. The wing is a modified Cub wing, if you would. He goes, it's kind of a combination between a J3 wing and a PA-18 wing. The fuselage is a one-off. he kind of agreed with our assessment that it kind of looks like a Ran 7 and a J3 got together in a hangar one night. And so it does have a Continental engine up front. No, I'm sorry. Maybe he's running the Lycoming. What is he? He's, I forget. Yeah, the Lycoming 0320. Yep. And so 2-place tandem and nice little airplane. I think the biggest thing that we noticed yesterday, it kind of has a low angle of incidence for the wings sitting on the ground based on the geometry of its landing gear, which restricts its ability to get off super, super short. But it was well flown.
And last but certainly not least, from right here in Ontario, Oregon, give it up for race 220, the 1990 Taylorcraft F-22, piloted by Sean Coleman.
Great little airplane. VG's up on the front of it, and it's been fun talking with him at the EAA Pancake Breakfasts the last 2 days. He's been excited to be flying here, and I don't blame him. It's really cool to get to fly in front of your hometown crowd. I got to obviously do that 2 weeks ago or 2 events ago with my brother and I, and there's nothing better than doing it with your friends and family in the audience.
Talked to him a little bit last night about the aircraft. It's actually got a Lycoming 0235 on the front, just 118 horsepower. He said the airframe is designed for much more horsepower than that. So he's got a little bit of balancing to do when he flies in terms of how much performance he gets out of the engine. And he is one of those local folks. He's right here in Ontario, out of this airport. He's a member of the airport committee, also active in AOPA. You mentioned EAA. He's been flying since 1989 consistently. And this actually, we were talking about this yesterday, where the F-22, different F-22, this one, the Taylorcraft F-22, fits into the pedigree of the Taylorcraft line. And this actually was the factory demonstrator for the F-22 series that was built in the late 80s and the 90s.
That's cool to know.
Little aircraft aviation history right in front of you right there.
No. And something for our folks at home and in the crowd to know that may not realize is when you get done flying your competition passes, you become part of the judging crew out there. So we look out there, see my brother out on the judging line, and the judges are starting to make an adjustment to the appropriate distance for the category and classes. But everybody's involved. So when I'm not flying, I'm up here helping Ryan on the production and the entertainment aspect. Most of the other pilots are out helping on the judging line. You know, and 2 nights ago, or I guess last night, we're coming home, found an airplane. Hey, a master switch was still on. We called up, got it shut off for the pilot so they could be able to fly this morning. Everybody here is always helping out. We had a tail wheel break off, and I know several people were running parts and pieces to make sure that all the competitors could get their airplanes safely ready to compete.
Yeah, it takes a village to put on an event like this, and so just to mirror what you just said, Jughead, I think, you know, big thanks to all the volunteers, everyone. I mean, we've got volunteers from all over the country that come to every event to help put it on, and we really appreciate all of their effort. And looks like we're about ready to go. Looks like we might have a green flag as Justin Harrison taxiing up to the line in that Stinson.
And the Stinson's one of those airplanes that was kind of in that area where we were transitioning out of tube and fabric airplanes into semi-monocoque construction with aluminum. So it's got a fabric and tube fuselage and wings, and then it has a metal tail on it. And, of course, the Stinson has that big, huge, beautiful tail, especially on the 103s and above, the Dash 3s and higher. Just classic art form, Art Deco style tail. Love the airplanes.
Yeah, I think there's a short list of, like, Ryan Dombrowski wants it vintage airplanes, and the Stinson's on it. Okay, here we go. Justin Harrison, first takeoff of his National STOL career in competition.
Airborne at about 5 1/4 or so. So a little bit better than his stuff yesterday, I think. A good one to start with.
Here's that one of 3 dress and escape.
And he was saying this airplane was actually built by Mr. Dressen for himself. So it was the designer and owner's airplane.
Getting that tail up. pulling back. Nice and short there.
A nice job executing, popping those flaps, getting airborne early. I think maybe he was a little heavy yesterday based on that because we're not seeing much wind. It is a little bit cooler than yesterday, Ryan, so our density altitude's lower. We'll have to update that when we can and see just where it is. But I have a feeling he maybe lightened that airplane up yesterday and a lot better performance.
Density altitude right now, 3,858 feet. That's as of, I guess, 35 minutes ago. So
it's a little lower than yesterday.
Okay, the Taylor craft on the line, the other F-22.
And the Taylor craft's known for its really long, slender wing, a fast wing, so maybe not as good in the slow speed environment. But there's the flaps down, comes off very cleanly at around 390 feet.
In terms of scores right now, Justin Harrison in the Stinson taking off in 520 feet. Mr. Nelson in the Escape, takeoff of 225. That's very respectable for a first showing. And we've got Sean Coleman's score coming into the booth in just a moment in that Taylor craft.
Now, as Justin comes around the corner, his Stinson, I think it's going to be important for him to fly the appropriate approach angle. He doesn't have a lot of flaps, doesn't have a lot of horsepower to hang up behind the power curve too far, trying to see that line. This is looking pretty good. He's got a couple feet of insurance, gets it well past the line, a little burst of power to float the touchdown at about 200 feet, but a good, safe approach. And really for the rookies, Ryan, it's not about winning. This is about the person coming out and flying in front of the crowd, flying in front of competitors for the first time. This is about them competing against themselves, or I should say competing with themselves, and just getting to know the airplane better. And you can compete in the rookie class multiple times unless you win, and then you're out.
They boot you once you win. You can't be in rookie anymore after you win it.
But it's all about just developing the comfort and the skills.
And I think it's also about them getting to spend time with pilots like you and the other competitive pilots and getting a little integrated into the community of safety and knowledge. Here's Henry Nelson.
Good over the line. Nice 2-point firm touchdown. Retracting the flaps to maximize the braking effort. Good braking at the end and coming in right at 328.
What? As we have, let's see, the Taylor Craft on base leg there, we want to talk about one of our sponsors, FlightHelmet.com. If I'm not mistaken, FlightHelmet.com actually lent Henry the helmet he needed to compete today, because every competitor needs a helmet. Safety is very important here. So let's talk about FlightHelmet.com. They are a company that specializes in the sales and service of, you guessed it, flight helmets. Full service, all the way to customizing it in-house. Save $50 using coupon code NSTOL50. Here we go, Taylor Craft coming in and landing.
So I saw he got the same thing I got yesterday, kind of a big balloon of air right there on short final. It affected the last two airplanes. Actually, I think it affected all three because we heard the Stinson add some power to arrest his sink rate. And so something for me to throw back into my mind when I get out there to compete. Hey, we're seeing some of those same characteristics of yesterday, which is going to be important to adjust for. Otherwise, we don't have a lot of wind out here, Ryan. It's still pretty calm air.
So we are, oh, wait, look at that. Who's that in the crowd there? Is that Sean?
Dan Reynolds?
What? It looks like Sean's face right there. Look at him go. I love that. I got to meet the two of them last night at the banquet. I love that. How come now there's no you and me out there? We got to get people to carry our heads around like that.
Oh,
that is
boy.
great.
That's good. That is good. Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought it was our crazy Canadian, Dan Reynolds, and we had an imposter down here bringing him in from the south. But now that it shows it right up, it's like, all right.
So that is Sean Coleman. There we go. I wonder what he's thinking about that, if that was a surprise or not. That's pretty good. So heading into the second run, Henry Nelson, first place with a combined score of 556. Sean Coleman, second, 908. And Justin Harrison on the roll right now in third with 1,170 feet combined.
Pretty consistent takeoff to his second. Now, one of the things I noticed is he has the flaps down when he starts that roll. I've only flown a Stinson once. I think it still has the manual Johnson bar on the floor. And that's a good question, is why they call it a Johnson bar. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't know.
you do.
No, I don't.
But my advice to him might be is start that takeoff roll with the flaps up. Help accelerate the airplane better, and then deploy them.
Little less drag on the aircraft to begin with. I get it.
But it is safer to leave the flaps alone, especially as a rookie. So you have to respect that as well. That might be why he's doing that as well.
And as we talk about flaps, looking at the escape just then, I don't even know if the flaps were engaged, or maybe they were just a tiny bit there.
Yeah.
Here's the tailcraft now. Sean Coleman at the controls. Working that rudder back and forth, keeping it straight, pulling back.
About 420 feet on that takeoff. So as we wait for our competitors to come around the corner, coming in on their second landing, the rookies have got a good, successful pass underneath them. That's important. And now they can just come in here. Hopefully they got those flying eye sunglasses on to help them pick out the line, help penetrate. A little bit of smoke still in the area, though a little better than yesterday. And here's our Stinson Stationair back in. Looks like a little better approach angle. Burst.
Big balloon with that power. And now
nice job, though, making the safe touchdown. I don't know if that was an overreaction to the sink or if the sink was just stronger than he expected, and he just had to throw in the AOA and the power that way.
And I was thinking back to all of my tail dragger training, that reaction of getting it settled back out. So you have the balloon, and then as you settle back down, you need to add a little power to cushion your landing. Really expertly done there for Justin. Maybe not what he wanted from a competitive score standpoint, but definitely well handled. That landing now at 850 feet. So a little bit longer on that run for him, 1,360 feet combined.
For the folks there, both in the audience and on TV, as you look across the ramp here at Ontario, we had a great turnout. I mean, it was wonderful. Super lush grass to camp on. And I know right behind and in front of my campsite are 4 single-engine air tankers, the Air Tractor 802 Fire Bosses. And it's kind of interesting, a couple fires burning in the local area, but the tankers didn't fly yesterday until late evening, and 2 of them fired up. I was talking to their pilots this morning. They loaded up, went up to the fire, and it was still too smoky up in the mountains for them to safely be able to drop, so they came back with the loads. All right, here's our escape. Good on the line. Really good on the line. Probably one of his best touchdowns in relation to the line. Nice smooth braking. That tail just staying in a just slightly nose low attitude.
I was going to comment on the same thing. Really expertly kept there. Like a lot of times in the rookie class, we'll see an overuse of brakes, like you kind of warned about at the top of the broadcast, right? That's a thing we need to be careful in the tail draggers. And we'll see that every once in a while in the rookie class, and we haven't had anything like that yet today. Now that I've said it, though, I've jinxed it, and Henry will be talking to me later.
And what we're finding, there were some ground squirrel holes, rodent-type holes, piles of dirt up in the runway. But after a day of practice and now halfway through the competition, I think most of those have been run over, flattened out, and we're getting more consistent braking. Nice touchdown out of the Taylor craft, a little bit of a bounce. And getting stopped.
Oh,
finally stop it. 469 approximately.
And if you're watching the stream right now, you can check out all the great merch.
I like that shirt.
Yeah, there's some good ones in there. So you can make your way down to the merch booth if you're here in Ontario. Check it out. We got all the different shirts from the series. We see Moses Lake. That's where we got to hang out this year. Heritage STOL. That was another great event all the way down in Virginia Beach, the other side of the country. They're pointing out that great sweatshirt that all of us like to wear. An Oregon Trail STOL shirt. Check out the little Easter egg on the very bottom. That's because you were telling me yesterday.
The tater tot. All right.
Little tater tots there, because this is where we invented those. So thank you, Ontario, Oregon, for that. What would we do without you?
Yeah. Dakota loves tater tots.
Yeah.
Of course, if you know Dakota, he kind of likes all food. You're not picky, are you, buddy? He's in here enjoying this American Trailers, air conditioning and relaxing. Sleepy dog of summer. He just wishes he could go and fly in the competition with me.
Oh, there we go. Dog would be your co-pilot then, yeah. You never heard that joke before. Okay, here's the Stinson rolling. Justin at the controls, got those doors off.
Oh, good takeoff form. 4 1/4.
Here comes the escape.
Big thanks to City of Ontario, the water truck crew today. We have had no dust. I mean, the
Yeah,
top of your computer is looking wonderful compared to yesterday.
I had a beach.
And they've been going by on every pass. The Dressen rotates, comes off about 20 feet later. They're marking him just past the 200-foot mark.
And here is the Taylor Craft, piloted by Sean Coleman, who, if nothing else, has a great piece of art for his hangar now, with his head printed out there. Here he goes. Flaps down.
Oh, it so wanted to fly. He just couldn't get the AOA to generate all the lift he needed.
While they go around the pattern, let's say hi to a couple folks in the chat. We've got White Squirrel Aerial Media, our drone pilots at most of the competition, saying, love seeing these antique vintage birds competing. We agree. Kind of waxing poetic. Cam Walton saying, hey, Ryan and Jughead and production crew. You got to hang out with Corey and Tina a couple days ago. So we got a little bit of a Cam Walton is one of the announcers and the photographer for National STOL normally. Miss you, Cam. Wish you were here. Here comes the Stinson. Good over the line.
There you go. His best touchdown yet. One of the classic airplanes still has the not the VGs, but the Venturis underneath the airplane to create the vacuum for its instruments before they had vacuum pumps.
There you go.
Going old school there.
Yeah, I love that.
They will not run your iPad.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough. A couple other people to say hi. Here we got Vinny in the chat. Hello to Vinny. Ira Walker from Wyoming. Thanks so much for watching. Glenn Baker from Mansfield, Ohio. Hello to you as well. And also, if you're in the crowd, don't be afraid to jump onto YouTube or Facebook, and you can chat with Jughead and I as we call the show. Here is the escape.
Oh, really good
one.
on the line. By far, the Dressen's best landing. Stopping at 225. He is going to be happy with that. That didn't look like a rookie pass at all.
No.
Not at all.
Well, and if he keeps this up, he won't be a rookie much longer.
No, he might be moving himself right on up. All right, Taylor Craft. All right.
Go around for the Taylor Craft. Due to spacing, I'm guessing. There'll be a little bit of a delay as he loops it around.
Well, and I noticed two of our fire bombers, pilots are climbing into the cockpits right now, so wonder if they're going to go get some work done, help protect some of our resources here in the Pacific Northwest. These gentlemen and women are out of Arizona, spending the summer up here on contract.
Oh, wow. Yep, there they are on screen. Such a cool aircraft, right? Modified from the Ag mission, if I'm not mistaken. And they have a drop bay door. You know, the tank drops out of the belly as opposed to out of the wings, like the Ag version of it. turbine powered. They sound super cool. They're actually quite large if you've never seen one in person.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are
you
a
can
big
see
airplane.
for scale. Like look at the crew chief or whomever is sitting there talking to the pilot in that first one. So.
Yeah, so the 802, it was actually, you're right, it's a dual rule airplane. It was actually designed as a fire bomber, so that...
it started as a fire bomber and then went the other way.
Well, it's kind of like when you pickup comes down the line at Detroit, you know, it can be built to have four-door crew cab or a super cab. So there's two production lines that you can have the quick dump fire tank in it, or you can have a traditional belly in it that is used for ag. And so very versatile airplane and very good in both roles, in the agricultural application world and the fire single engine attack world. There's our F-22 touchdown, just a little bit short.
We should get Sean a Raptor sticker put on there to rep the other F-22 that we're also familiar with. As they come back around, I want to talk about another one of our sponsors that helps make this possible, Ladd Gardner Insurance. They've been a partner of National STOL since the beginning. They provide excellent customer service and coverage. Ladd Gardner Insurance is aviation protected.
And I think it's important for people that are thinking about getting into backcountry flying or coming out and playing in the rookie class is make sure that your insurance will actually cover you. And Ladd Gardner will cover you in all those applications of your airplane to take full advantage of what your airplane is able to provide you as far as adventure, escape, and Ladd Gardner Insurance. Great to work with. Okay, round number
4.
Quadro.
Time to go here. So right now, as we head into round 4 of the rookie class, Henry Nelson in first place with a combined score of 428. And it's tightening up, actually, between second and third. Sean Coleman in second with 900. And a big shortening up by Justin Harrison, 926.
Ooh. So there's definitely something to win. Something to fight for. Oh, a good takeoff there. It's going to come in just short of the 500-foot mark. So again, being fairly consistent. 24 feet difference between his first couple.
The 2011 Dress and Escape from Parma, Idaho. Henry Nelson at the controls. He's off. Sub 250 it's looking like from the judges.
He pulled that one a little late. I noticed the flaps weren't all the way down. The tail wasn't all the way down when it came off. And I'm starting to see the flags all the way to the start-finish line are actually starting to show a headwind. Yes! Those of us who fly later.
I was going to say, I bet you're happy about that. It's going to be great to have some wind on the nose. Here's the Taylor craft.
Oh,
easing
yeah.
it off the ground.
You know, because if you try to pull the airplane off too early, all you're doing is throwing a bunch of induced drag at the airplane. That induced drag will very quickly overcome the ability to create the lift necessary and the acceleration necessary, and they really, really extend your takeoff rolls, which on this beautiful grass runway in Ontario is not a problem. If you do that too early on a sandbar, it's a problem because at the end of it, it's going to be water.
Going for a swim. We just saw their little preview of what's coming up next. We had a little preview of our onboard image from Pat McIntyre's Rans S7. So that's going to be fun to watch. Here comes the Stinson now. That was a cool shot through the window of Pat's S7. Here we go. Good over the line.
Very good. That's his best for sure. Excellent job. Excellent job. This may move him up. Woo! I could hear people clapping and cheering down there. I was excited for him. I love to see people succeed, and that was a great job.
That was excellent. I mean, so think about the landing distance we've seen, 650, 850, 475. So really
this is going to be sub 400, well below 400. There it is. What is it? 382. Good job, Justin.
That's going to put Justin into second place behind this guy.
Oh, good on the line as well. I love it when the judge's arm is going up before he even gets there.
And he's hanging on. Look how far back
Yeah, look
he's
how
leaning.
far he's pushing. The harder you push with your feet, the more you lean back with your upper body and head. Yeah. So Justin's releasing the shoulder straps here right in front of us. I think he's going to be a happy rookie. Maybe we'll get him to look over here, give him a thumbs up, and let him know he did well. There he is. Looks like maybe some flying eye sunglasses in there helping him see the line too.
Oh yeah, you might be right. They look cool. There's
the thumbs up for him. There's the smile. He did well. He did well. Waiting on the.
Yeah, the F-20. I was like, here comes the Raptor, the F-22, full afterburner.
Well, actually, I heard him at coffee this morning. He's debating about retiring or staying on the job just a little bit longer because he wants to put a 180-horse engine on this airplane.
Right. I'd hang on. Why not?
Oh,
and a scratch
well
for
short.
the Taylor Craft.
But he was going for it. Nothing wrong with that. And he's using advantage, practicing his braking. You know, and that's something people always ask you is how do you get so good with what you do with your airplane? And one of the things I always tell them is make every takeoff and every landing a practice of some sort, whether it's a short field, a soft field, a max effort, a no flap. Always have a goal, a desired touchdown point, and try to push yourself and learn and increase your proficiency on every flight.
Excellent advice. Let's go celebrate our rookies in just a few seconds here. We'll be back with more STOL right after this out of Oregon, Ontario, Oregon. Say that 5 times fast. We'll see you. Be back in a minute, folks.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a different experience buying a Legend Cub because you're buying from the owners of the company. You're going to meet everybody that's going to work with you ahead of time. They're experts at every little facet of it. You pretty much can do as much of the aircraft as you're capable, and then they'll kind of hold your hand through the rest of it. So I couldn't recommend it higher than truly a wonderful experience. You show up and you watch how all the fuselages are all TIG welded and their processes are second to none. They build by far the nicest airplane, lightest componentry, great styling. Ron, their painter, is spectacular. It's not like any other buying experience. You are truly buying into a family. A lot of longtime employees. I'm friends with a lot of the guys that help build my airplane. Legend Cub owners typically buy an airplane and never sell that airplane. You won't find very many of them used for sale on the market. I think you get a slightly different owner with a Legend Cub. It's not just an airplane to them. It's a piece of art. It's a piece of them. It's custom designed and built for them. Any option you want is available. Hard to get much better than this.
Sarasota was created actually back in the 70s, but we and Bert and Vince, my 2 partners, they've sold their business to Ryan and Sean, which is my 2 other partners now. We started around in 1999, 2000, just had one little spot in this hangar and we've built it up from there. So we've been here for 23 years now. And then we have 5 facilities now here in the state of Florida. First starts in Tampa, Sarasota. Venice here is our main headquarters, and we have Punta Gorda and then Fort Lauderdale, Lantana. Then we have partners in Brazil, South Africa, Greece, Tullahoma, Tennessee, all over the world. We're the largest Garmin dealer in the world. So that's probably what we've been known for. So we do more installs on aircraft, general aviation, anything really under 10,000 pounds than anybody else in the world. So, and we've been that for quite a few years now.
You said that the most common position for the CEO Guardians over there on the right side?
Yeah, it would be generally in somewhere in this area. And, you know, if you went into the panel, and obviously you can go into the panel, and with this particular one I showed you the panel, he's basically got a 275, his ELT is going to be here, you've got USB charging port and programming port, which will be tied into these, is going to be here, then you've got Bose, your 2 audio jacks here, and this particular prop de-ice one is going to end up in this here. You can build something off of this flange, which you could put the CEO Guardian here. You could mount it to the top or the bottom of the glove box. Or if you're going to do a panel mount, you've got the mount holes, and I think there's 7, 9 holes that you actually go through the panel, and basically I would cut those.
And we are back here in Ontario, Oregon. And man, we are having a fun time here with STOL. It's time to celebrate these rookies, folks. Give it up for them. Takes a lot of courage to come out and compete in front of a crowd like this. You look pretty friendly, but I'd still say it's a little intimidating. So some great flying here today. First, we've got in 3rd place with a combined score of 900 feet, Sean Coleman. So Sean, I'm coming to give you a little interview here. How was your first experience?
It was good. Yeah, it was just good to get the experience, and always good to try to improve your skills, and yeah, plumb happy with everything. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, great flying out there. Thanks for flying. Anyone you want to say hi to in the crowd?
And my wife over there with the sign, and my friends there.
That's a great sign. Can I get a copy for my hangar? Okay, congratulations. In 2nd place with a combined score of 857 feet, Justin Harrison. Come on over here.
There's no way that happened.
How's it flying a Stinson in STOL?
It's a blast. This is a really docile tail dragger. It does a lot better than most people think. I still got, it's 500 pounds of fuel on, so it's all there, and it'll do it. You just got to get out and practice just like we're doing today, and it is an absolute blast just turning the base and getting ready to set up for just like when you're out in the backcountry. It's awesome.
Do you fly it out in the backcountry?
Oh, absolutely. I love landing on 2-track roads.
Excellent. All right. Last question. Anyone you want to say hi to out in the crowd or at home?
I don't know. Who do I got out there? I don't think my wife even showed up today.
Well, she missed it. All right. And last but certainly not least, with a combined score of 428 feet in the Dressen Escape. Now, here's the thing. I got to ask you a question. It's a little embarrassing. I've got Henry written down, but I've also seen Chris. You're Henry. Who's Chris?
That's my first name, but I don't go.
Oh, you go by Henry. All right. Henry Nelson here with a combined score of 428. Congratulations. Rookie no more. What's next for you in National STOL?
Whatever comes next.
Any thoughts about flying there? You've got a unique aircraft.
Yeah, and I can't really take credit for that. It was built by Don Dressen in Fruitland, Idaho, and he done a hell of a job.
It definitely helped, but it's the pilot, not the plane. All right. Anyone you want to say hello to in the crowd right home?
Yeah, all my family over there.
Well, look at that crowd. All right, get up here, guys. Let's give it up for the rookie class, Oregon Trail STOL 2024. And I don't know who's going to get the wettest, but it's time to celebrate, gentlemen. They're so polite. He's like, "Are you guys ready? I'm gonna get you now." All right, everyone. We'll be back now. Looks like we've got the sport class firing up. It's gonna get short. It's getting hotter. Stay tuned for more STOL action here at Oregon Trail STOL.
Well, that was an absolutely great round of competition. So big congratulations to our rookies out there, their first time on the course, and they did a great job learning to really max perform their airplane and entertaining the crowd as well. As we get ready to go into our next class, I notice our 4 fire bombers have all fired up. They're rolling across their loadout dock, and I think we got one of them holding short. They're waiting on assignment with the International Fire Coordination Center here in Boise, Idaho. So hopefully they'll go get some good work done out there for us. Big thanks again to our sponsors, Flying Eyes, USA Trailers, Sarasota Avionics, Aero LEDs, Legend Aircraft, and, of course, Ladd Gardner Insurance. Jughead Council here. Dakota's relaxing here in the sun. Been helping Ryan out. He does a wonderful job up here on the booth, helping with the production, bringing all the great information to everybody, both in the crowd and out in the world on the internet. So big thanks to Ryan as he makes his way back up here, and we're going to let the production crew take things back over.
Well, a friend of mine, actually it was Corey Robin, told me about these Flying Eyes glasses while we were at Oshkosh. We went and checked them out, and they're awesome. But what I really like is the glasses themselves. They're very light. The earpieces are real thin and flexible, so you don't even know you have them on under a headset. If I put my headset on, I mean, they're just as comfortable as could be, and they're so thin, I can actually take them on and off without removing my headset. I couldn't do that with my other glasses. And then the other really cool thing about these, they make some awesome sunglasses, but they have these cool sunglass lenses that just snap on. So now instead of having to carry a big extra glass case in my pocket, that's all I got to carry to take my sunglasses with me. So there's several things about them that I'm really, really liking. Flying Eyes, awesome glasses.
So we are back here in Ontario, Oregon, and Jughead, you were just giving us a little bit of an update on the fire bombers. I see them now taxiing down to the hard surface runway. Looks like they're about to depart and do a little work.
Yeah, they are. I'm going to have to try to pull up a Firewatch app and see if we can track where they go and what they're doing there. It was funny because a friend of ours who's an ag operator has just bought a couple of old fire bosses, and one of the maintainers there goes, yeah, it still shows up in our fire tracking. So when we look to see what air tankers are airborne and working, we keep seeing this one in Moses Lake. And of course it's just flying in ovals over the fields because he's doing egg work. So we got to go back and check, see if it's still like programmed into its ADSB or something. I thought that was kind of funny.
So here comes the seat, the first seat on the roll. Give a little commentary here.
So this airplane's weighing about 12,000 pounds. So a pretty long takeoff roll. He does have takeoff flaps set. He's airborne just as he goes by us, either at the 500-foot line or the 4,500-foot line. They'll get about 8 to 10 second space in between the airplane ahead of them, so if this trailing airplane doesn't get into dirty air. But look at these flags. I see this headwind starting to develop for us. I like this.
Also just real exciting to see a working tail dragger, right? You don't see many aircraft out working that still are in the tail dragger configuration, and man, that's cool. Go get them, boys. go
yeah,
get
the Air
working.
Force actually just started buying the armed and reinforced armored version of the Air Tractor 802 for Special Ops Command and starting to train them in Kansas. So that's going to be a neat new mission to see. Hey, look who we've got coming in here.
We've got a special guest popping in, and while we get her all set up, let's talk about the lineup for the next two classes. You're going to see them compete together. First, we have the sport class. You got Joel Milloway in the Rands S7, Ty Firkin in a Kit Fox Model 4, Chris Figgins in a 2015 Cub Crafters SS, and Pat McIntyre in a 2006 Rands S7. And then behind them, you'll see a particularly intimidating yellow aircraft with a 5-blade prop on it. That is Steve Henry, who's competing solo just for season points in the unlimited class, and that is going to be one to watch. We're going to learn more about the adventure and unlimited classes right now, and we'll be back with engine start and our special guest here in the booth.
Gonna grab 110.
Class Rick holding it. Taking the big bounce. Okay. He's sliding.
Came down and I was braking and it just shattered across the weld. My name's Justin Tisdale. I'm flying a Zenith 750, flying in the Spark class. My dad and I would always go to events and things like that, and I would always look up and just see people flying. And for me, it was something that I dreamed of doing. It's something that he dreamed of doing. We grew up like kind of poorish, and he was a cop and couldn't really afford to do that kind of stuff. So after I got out of the military, I started looking at aviation. I was like, man, I think I could do that. Wound up completing that dream of his and mine to become a pilot. And anyone can do it. I know if I can do it, other people can do it.
Howdy, I'm Levi No Guess. I'm from Killeen, Texas. I'm here for the fun. If I win, that's great. If I don't, I'm still having a blast.
My name is Sheldon Hetherington. I'm flying Redbird, a Zenith 750 STOL.
Here's Sheldon now in Redbird, overcome that axle issue that he had and now has it up and running.
New prop I'm trying. I just got it from eProps and it's totally amazing.
Hi, I'm Dennis Rowe. I fly a Just Aircraft Highlander and I'm in the sport class. What do you say? You done it. You own it and you learn from it and you thank God. And in this case, it was not too serious.
You know, here's the embarrassing part. I always said, boy, you put a Highlander on its nose, you got to be an overachiever.
Yeah, I had to entertain everybody.
I started off at a young age, probably 3 years old, racing motocross.
You know, I come from a stunt background and I was a professional bull rider. It just, what's next? Let's do it.
He pushes me and I push him, and same with Hal. We're challenging each other. Everyone's like, whoa, this is gonna be close.
I have beat him, but not often. I gotta be really on my game and he's gotta be off his a little bit.
The hard work happens with the majority of what Steve does before we get here. It's the innovations, the development of the new parts, testing them, all that. And a lot of that has to do with what Steve does before we get here.
Really excited. I just hung my weights and got everything ready for traditional STOL, and I'm just excited to get going.
I usually fly a Highlander, but I sold it. I'm rebuilding a new one that's going to be pretty competitive at both National STOL and STOL Drag, so I'm excited about that, but it ain't ready yet.
I fly my Rands off a grass strip, an airport about 15 minutes from my house. Rick and Colin Kadiva, both really good friends of mine. Colin has a place with a strip behind his house. I've flown in and out of there.
Patrick and I, we got a little bit of a grudge match going.
Come on, get it stopped, Charles. Get it stopped, Charles. No!
You know, had to let it all hang out. Oh, man, one way or another, we're going to stop it, even if it's sideways.
It was so fun. I got to fly the unlimited. You can't beat it.
So we are bringing back the Unlimited and the Sport class for you here in Ontario, Oregon. Let's get them introduced to you right now. You're gonna see some, man, this is where it starts to get a little weird. Like physics stop working, things start doing weird things in the air. I guess if you can't tell, I'm a little excited about the Sport and the Unlimited class.
Well, and what I'm getting excited about, too, is I keep watching the flag, especially the Ladd Gardner flag right here. It's got a nice ripple in it, and there is definitely a headwind component. These airplanes specialize in being lightweight. They're fairly low horsepower. A lot of them are in around the 100 horsepower range, but we're talking weights of 600, 700, 800 pounds is all. And some of them even up to 180 horsepower. And, of course, then there's Steve Henry, who's off the top of the chart when it comes to lightweight and big horsepower. But I think the performers are getting excited about the changing environmental conditions. The wind's picking up faster than the temperature is picking up, which means the density altitude's not getting as high as yesterday, and the performance is going to be better.
That's a big win. Here is our first competitor from Blackfoot, Idaho, in the 1996 Rans S7. It's called the Tiger Shark, and you can see why. It's race number 4, Joel Milloway.
It's painted like a cat almost, and you know what Dakota says about cats, right?
I don't know.
Cats are dumb.
Oh, that was mean. That's straight up mean. All right. Next up, from Caldwell, Idaho, in a 1997 Kit Fox Model 4. It's race 90, Ty Firkin.
A local boy, egg guy himself, does a lot of cool backcountry and off-airport flying and has a variety of different airplanes, some of them on floats. This one referred to as the Evinrude because of its sound, but boy, he really knows how to squeeze every ounce of performance out of this machine.
We saw at Pinedale at Rocky Mountain STOL another Kit Fox Model 4 tearing it up. That one piloted by Jonas Marcinko.
Who's a friend
of Ty
They all
Firkin.
fly in the same
exactly.
group.
So we're seeing that as a little bit of an upset in the sport class this season. Next up, from Walla Walla, Washington, race number 144, a 2015 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub SS. Give it up for Chris Figgins.
All right. Good-looking Carbon Cub out there. Hasn't done a lot of competitions, but he's done a few. And he was chasing us down, and we were ahead of him as we were flying down here, and he got airborne and was texting with us, and he quickly outran us with that Carbon Cub because not only will they fly really slow, but they got some pretty good speed on them as well.
Excited to watch Chris fly today. He was tearing it up in practice yesterday. Next up, from Lincoln, Nebraska, in the 2006 Rans S7, race number 40, it's Pat McIntyre.
He's actually a working dog veterinarian, so Dakota doesn't mind having him here. And great guy out. Him to have on the circuit, always fun to hang out with. Great stories. Good-looking Rans. And, you know, we saw him in the rookie video just last year, flying as a rookie, and now he's standing on the podium on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, but you look at the season standings for the sport class, Pat McIntyre is currently at the top with 106 season points. Joel Milloway in the Tiger Shark up at the front of the line with 76 points in second place. That loud noise you hear means I can talk about the... That's right. From Nampa, Idaho, it's a 2022 Just Aircraft Wild West Aircraft Highlander XL. It's race number 44, the legend of legends, everybody. It's Steve Henry.
Yeehaw 8, and he just keeps every year he builds a new one, just adds a number to it, and is one of the absolute leaders in innovation in not just STOL flying and STOL drag racing, but for the Highlander aircraft. Sells them, trains people, provides great support. The gentleman that we were camping with last night is building a Highlander that he got from Steve right now, and can't wait to have it in the air hopefully in the next 6 to 9 months.
And that airplane, in case you couldn't tell when he taxied up, folks, that's a loud one. There's a lot of horsepower on the front of that thing, so if you got kids up front, maybe plug their ears, put a little hearing protection on when it's time for Steve to take off. And actually, speaking of taking off, we've been tracking this little side story of the seats. We've got 2 more getting ready to go out and fight some fire.
All right, our Tiger Cat is up to the line. The air boss is checking the airspace left, checking the airspace right. It looks clear. Power's up, and here we go as we start our sport class. Oh!
All right. See what I mean about what is physics? What is happening? Things just get a little weird because you've got a lot of horsepower compared to the weight on these aircraft. Here comes Ty Firkin now in the Model 4.
So setting a sub 100-foot takeoff. Planting the flag for the rest of the competitors to go for this.
You that tail up so aggressively every time.
Ty tried to match him. The airplane wasn't quite ready for it. about 173 feet to start off with.
Chris Figgins now in the 2015 Carbon Cub.
And I think this was an EX3 model. We'll confirm that when he taxis back by.
Nice.
There goes our seat behind us. Oh my gosh. Almost surprised you.
Gonna have a race there between the Carbon Cub and the seat. Second seat getting ready to go on the roll. Pat McIntyre waiting a little bit to the right on the line. It looks like we've got a little bit of a crosswind from the left now. She's going to try to grab a little bit of that on the nose.
I also
Seats
think
on the roll.
I thought they might be waiting to kind of space it between the seats. I don't know if that's a coincidence or they planned it, but it's working out.
Meanwhile, Pat's just like, I'm in the air. He's just popping it up. All right. Steve Henry now in the unlimited class. His own version of fire breathing on the front, all the way to the right side of the runway, getting that crosswind, although it looks like the flags have now died down for him.
Which if I was him, I'd be sitting and watching this far flag, and when it starts to ripple, I'll watch it come down, and that's exactly what it does.
No! Oh, man. So he is in the air. We'll get the scores for you in a second, but very patiently waiting has been our friend Julie, who's been in the booth for a few minutes. First of all, just say hi and let everyone know who you are.
Hi, I'm Julie Lynch with Treasure Valley Community College. I'm the aviation director for our flight programs.
And what's exciting and new about the Treasure Valley flight program that you guys are working on right now?
Well, I think we're just growing. We've got 24 students that'll be starting in 2 weeks, and we're pretty excited about that. This is one of our largest classes that we've had. We've been doing this about 7 years at this airport.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. And, of course, big demand out there in commercial aviation for new pilots. I see that as an airline pilot in my day job. And as we watch the cat come in just across the line, touches down, very nice. Let's see if we're going to get sub 100 feet. Not quite. But, Julie, are you finding enough instructors?
That's the hard part. We have a revolving door with instructors, as I'm sure you know, and it's always a challenge to have those. We're starting with all the COVID challenges. We had some students that weren't able to continue, so we haven't had as many graduates, but we're hoping to get some cranked out, and we're hiring everyone that comes through that finishes with CFI.
And how can someone out there that's dreaming of a career in aviation, how can they find out about the Treasure Valley Community College?
That's a great question. They can go to our website, and it's www.tvcc.cc, and you can do a /aviation. It'll take you right to the page. My face will be the first one you see there. So,
all right,
there we go. Click that and email me.
Well, Ty Firkin just pegged the line perfectly. We're going to have to go to the replay video to see whether it was good or not, because I literally think he hit the line. Looking. Oh, the camera got kicked a little bit there. We'll have to see if our production crew can get our start-finish line camera readjusted.
Here comes Chris Figgins.
Looks like Ty's counted, 148, Ryan.
And he's got those flaps retracted, getting all of the
start-finish line camera. It got kicked to the right.
Weight down on the tires. And last but not least in the limited class, Pat McIntyre is coming in on final approach now, low over the grass.
Another real close one on the line, but I think that was good with the Carbon Cub and Chris Friggins. Here, over the shoulder, there's the look. There's that camera feed. Look at that.
On board with Pat. There he goes. Look at how he dumped those flaps.
Oh, super good landing. Very nice. So, Julie, I know one of the things that's always tough for people as they try to get into aviation, it's not cheap. Do you have resources for some financing for the students out there to be able to pursue their dreams?
Well, we have a few. We try not to recommend any specific companies for student loans and things. We have a lot of students who come and use their veteran education benefits. We have students that can use federal financial aid, which is a little bit different than some of the vocational schools where students have to just go strictly with loans. We have some scholarships specifically at TVCC for aviation, and those help out a lot too.
Well, that's great to hear, especially the VA aspect, because I know a lot of the schools aren't covering that as much as they used to. And as a veteran myself, that's a great benefit that our veterans have earned. It's so great that you can use those here at Treasure Valley Community College, so thank you for that.
Watch Steve Henry now getting that tail down on the grass before the line. He's coming in right after, it looks like. Woo! He's been putting in the practice on the line, he said. He said, I'm getting really a lot more scratches than I'm used to, and he's been putting in that work. So Steve Henry now also on the board in the unlimited class. I'm going to do a quick recap of where we're at on the scores. Right now in the sport class, Joel Milloway in the Tiger Shark, combined score of 238. Second place, Pat McIntyre in the other S7, 244. Ty Firkin in the Kit Fox 4 with 323, and judges have called Chris Figgins' landing a scratch. So that one did not count, that run, in the end. And then if we pop over to the unlimited class, Steve Henry, his numbers don't even look real. His takeoff was 30 feet, and his landing was 78 feet.
Oh, man. And you know, I've been at competitions, and I think you have too, where Steve Henry's not happy unless he can find low double digits or single digit takeoffs. That's not going to happen here today with the wind unless we get a Wyoming surprise come through, and we don't want that.
And I'm remembering back to the last time that we announced together, one of the last times we announced together in Yuma. If I'm not mistaken, you and I watched Steve Henry take off in 6 feet.
Yeah, less than one tire roll. Well, here's our Tiger Cat. Another nice takeoff, a little bit longer than his first, just past the 100 or century mark.
So that was Joel Milloway, currently first place. That takeoff a little bit longer, 106 feet.
Opens the door for Ty Firkin here, maybe.
Maybe. Ty Firkin's last takeoff was 175, but he did seem kind of Velcroed to the ground. I think he's going to adjust for that this time around. There we go.
Yeah. Still pulled just a little bit early. A little bit.
Chris Figgins wanting to get on the board, 150-foot takeoff last time.
Our medevac chopper lifting off again. And Julie, is it a 2-year degree program with your school?
It is, and it's an associate's degree, an associate of applied science.
All right. And is it, I'm suspecting it's probably set up that kids can transfer that associate degree to other colleges within the state and pursue their 4-year if they would like?
There are a couple of colleges that we work with specifically for that. It's an associate of applied science, so it's not intended to be a transfer degree, but we are working with a couple of the local 4-year universities so that our students can pursue that if that's their choice.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you for coming in and stopping and visiting with us today and supporting National STOL here at the Oregon Trail event. It's been a great time, and we look forward to it. And thanks for letting us share the skies with your students and airplanes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Here goes Pat McIntyre. Love watching that on board, too. You see him working those flaps. Here comes Steve Henry, wanting to get that number down as low as possible. And if nothing else, this weekend helps extend his lead in the season standings.
Wow.
That looks pretty darn short.
So something interesting to watch with Steve Henry. If you've watched him in the past, a lot of the times he picks up the tail and then rotates. But something he's been doing with this new motor, this new gearbox over the last year and a half is working with different propellers. And he's back to flying with both a 4-bladed and a 5-bladed propeller. And I've noticed yesterday and today he's just using the 3-point stance. And I think this really big 5-bladed propeller, it's almost 8 feet in diameter, I think is producing more error, and he's just found out that just staying in the 3-point attitude is best as we get a scratch out of Joel in the Ran 7 Tiger.
I think Joel was hoping to get a little bit shorter. I just noticed his shirt matches his plane. He's hoping to get a little bit shorter to defend against Pat McIntyre. These two have been trading shots all season. Ty Firkin now.
He's coming. Keep paddling that boat.
Ty, big improvement on the takeoff. 175 down to 135. So he's a force to be reckoned with as well. Look at him low over the grass there. Just skimming the tops of the grass.
Good on the line. Good aggressive braking. A little bit of a bounce. But we're going to bring that in at about 165 feet. The judges were pretty unanimous. Two of them putting their feet at the same spot on the ground, radioing that in. So Ty should be pretty happy with that. Our Carbon Cub, kind of medium line right now. He's starting to settle it down, getting a little bit flatter, but he corrects. There now, right on a 1.5 degree wire, driving it down, slowing, that rudder dancing. Little burst of power gets him to the line, over it successfully, full left rudder, keeping it straight on rollout. Oh, tough one there is just trying to get good effective braking, and it's hard to guess what it is, whether the brakes are a little soft, whether the tires are starting to slide. The grass is starting to dry out. We haven't seen any mud get thrown in probably about an hour.
Sure.
So that grass might start to be getting a little bit slippery, because dry grass is slippery and wet grass is slippery. You kind of want it in between to maximize braking effectiveness, and it's getting matted and worn out.
Pat McIntyre over the line. Line judge says, we don't know.
The tail wheel hit, then the mains hit, and let's go. They got the camber readjusted. Thank you, production crew, for that.
Look at that tail touching down.
There's the tail down.
Oh. Yep. That is a scratch.
Hey,
that
we sounded pretty good together with that one.
Yeah, we could sort of choir.
Yeah.
So it is
scratch.
We'll write the scratch song. You can let the tail touch down before the line. What Jughead and I were responding to is how the mains, maybe by 6 inches. Here's Steve Henry. Oh, and a scratch for Steve Henry as well.
So here's a question. Steve's the only one in his class. What if he scratches 4 times?
I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Give him second place?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you would do. Luckily,
if that's the case, I'm going to go compete in the unlimited class real quick.
Well, sorry for you, though. He did get on the board the first time around.
Oh.
So you can't do that, but you should have jumped in there. I would love to see you
back out of my fantasy world.
Fly. I'd love to see you fly against Steve Henry. That'd be incredible. Okay, let's look at where things stand now in the sport class. Only a slight reconfiguring. Joel Milloway still holding first place with 238 feet. Only a handful of feet behind him. 6 feet behind him, Pat McIntyre in second place. Ty Firkin now up into third, or still in third, excuse me, with 295. Chris Figgins on the board with 403. Also, to answer your question, Race Control heard us, said that we treat someone who scratches every time as a DNF, no points, no trophy. So you could go in there and just hope he scratches all 4 times.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing we found out about the Johnson bar. It originally was a throttle on a locomotive, and it's a leverage type bar and was named after the official Baldwin locomotive. The flap handle on the Cherokee resembles that same thing. So it's actually from trains. Anyway, Joel Milloway just did a great takeoff, and we were talking about Johnson bars. Here's
yeah, but thanks for the folks out there to give us that information. You learn something new every day if you're living right.
Ty Firkin wanting to move up a few places. He would have won if we'd held this competition yesterday based on what he did in practice.
So you'll notice with the kit boxes, they don't have traditional flaps. They have flaperons. They're full span, and they function as both a flap and an aileron. Better timing for Ty Firkin right there is applying that and getting, I think, what's going to be a better takeoff for him.
Joel Milloway's takeoff, by the way, down to 92 feet now.
Ooh.
So first sub 100 for the class. Ty Firkin, an improvement by 10 feet down to 125. Here's Chris Figgins.
Well, and as we come through the middle of this class, you know what this means, Ryan. It's time for me to change hats. I've got to go take the sport aircraft seat hat off and get ready to throw on my bonehead helmet, get ready to switch into competition round. So hopefully I will see you down at the podiums at the end of the backcountry round for me as I go out and try to take Jethro and knock the beast off the top, because he's going to be the hard to beat today.
If you hurry, I think you could still get in for a few rounds against Steve Henry if you want. All right, thank you so much for joining me on the mic, my friend.
Thanks, Ryan.
We'll
Keep up the good work.
flying.
See y'all, folks.
Pat McIntyre now in the sky. Chris Figgins take off 136 feet. And Steve Henry in the unlimited class with all the horsepower and more. Watch that tail crouch down as he releases the tail pressure in it. More angle of attack for him, and he's off! That, from this angle in the booth, that looks like he's taking off in less than an aircraft length. I'm not sure that's actually true. 31 feet. So Steve Henry, listen to this, folks. 30-foot takeoff, 31-foot takeoff, 31-foot takeoff. Those are short. Here comes Joel Milloway now, back in the sport class. 92-foot takeoff. Good over the line, according to the judge. Oh, keep that tail down, Joel. Woo! He worked for that one. Vacating the runway there. Ty Firkin now just finishing that base to final turn. 125-foot takeoff this run. Joel Milloway, a combined score of 200 feet in run 3. Here's Ty Firkin. Good over the line. Look at how far back he's got that stick. Elevators all the way up. That's the control surface on the back of the tail that controls the pitch of the aircraft. And so when you see that all the way up like that, when you're on the ground, you're trying to get some aerodynamic braking. And you're also trying to keep that tail down to counteract the braking action. Chris Figgins in the Carbon Cub. Holding it off. Oh, and a scratch for Chris Figgins in the Carbon Cub. That's his second scratch of the competition. Chris Figgins new on the circuit this year. Again, from Walla Walla, Washington. He's a fourth-generation wine grower and winemaker. You can find him online at @flyin_winemaker, co-owner of Leonetti Cellar, Figgins, and Toil Oregon Vineyards and Wineries. And the aircraft is named Whiskey. A little bit of a balloon now for Pat. Oh, and a scratch. Hoping to get all of that energy down into the ground, but just happened a little bit too soon. Let's watch. Yeah, maybe 4 feet in front of the line there for Pat McIntyre. Another one of the fire aircraft on the roll. This is their spotting and command aircraft. Steve Henry Low and to your left, working that throttle, working that horsepower. .300 horsepower to be exact. Dropping it in. And that is going to be a landing that Steve is happy with. Oh, just over the line, maybe 3 inches over the line. He barely made it. Good one for Steve Henry on his third run. Down now to 100 feet combined, folks, for Steve Henry as we move back into the sport class. Things holding tight to where they were before because we had 2 scratches, so not a lot of movement. Joel Milloway currently in first place, 200 feet. Ty Firkin with a combined score of 270 feet. He's gaining on him, still in third place behind Pat McIntyre's 244. Pat McIntyre with double DQs, run 2 and run 3. Chris Figgins doing the same thing, currently in fourth place with 403 with a DQ on his first and third run. Joel Milloway. Popping a little bit of smoke. Off he rolls. He's happy with that one. You can see him a little bit of a fist bump as he worked the flaps in there in the cockpit. And he's covered in tiger stripes, his shirt, and I think even maybe his headset. And it was just pointed out to me that his tires actually say freak on the side. So he's having fun in that airplane. Here's Ty Firkin now, looking to improve. Sub 150 for Ty Firkin as Chris Figgins taxis up to the line. Nice landing for the twin. Just came in. That was real nice. All right, Chris Figgins waiting for release from the air bosses. Giving it the beans, working that rudder. He's a winemaker. Maybe I should be saying giving it the grapes. Smashing those grapes. All right, Pat McIntyre. Sorry, it's just dad jokes all over the place back here. Pat McIntyre now on the line. A little bit to the right, trying to get some of that crosswind, that light crosswind on the nose. We're on board with him now. Waiting for his turn. Full throttle. Watch the hand on the flaps. Popping him back. Pulling back. And he's in the air. Pulled maybe just a hair early for Pat McIntyre that time. Steve Henry. Can he get even shorter? It might have been. The wheel looked like it barely turned. He's been known to take off with the brakes fully locked. Judges pointing around maybe the 25-foot mark. Best takeoff so far, 30, but not anymore. 26 feet, folks, for Steve Henry in race 44. Joel Milloway and the Tiger Shark coming around the bend. Popping some smoke for us. Floating, 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 descending. He's got to arrest it. Good over the line for Joel Milloway. Happy with that one. Look how short he stopped. Another sub 100-foot landing in the books. Ty Firkin low and to your left And it's time to talk about USATrailersDirect.com. You can get the right trailer for your job with USA Trailers Direct. They're located in Colorado, Oklahoma, and Georgia. Flexible financing, convenient locations, and knowledgeable staff will help you find a trailer of your dreams. And they provided this trailer to National STOL, and it's where everything happens. We've got air bosses on top, broadcast crew on the other side of the wall from me, and of course a lot of comfort for us. Ty Firkin now holding it off the grass, planting those mains down. Expertly done for Ty Firkin. This trailer here from USA Trailers Direct actually was on the floor of Flight Sim Expo, where the National STOL competition was invited to compete. That is a full circuit that mirrors our circuit here, IRL, as the kids say, in real life. If you want to get involved in STOL, hang out with Burstix and Cam Walton and sometimes me. Oh, hold it off! Saved it, but now a little bit of energy to dissipate. Got to keep that tail down. Things are heating up here in the sport class. Pat McIntyre on your left now. If you want to dip your toe into STOL flying, maybe you don't have an aircraft to fly, maybe you're not a pilot yet, but if you want to be one, follow your dreams. It's changed my life. It's been one of the best things I've ever done. STOL. A great way to dip your toe in. Go to nationalstol.com and then click on the chat button. Enter that Discord server, and the STOL crew will help you figure out how to make your sim dreams a reality. Here is Pat McIntyre dropping it out. Ooh, that tail popped high, but he got it under control. Going back for a review, actually, based on the line judge. Tail touching down. Oh, no. Calling it a scratch again for Pat McIntyre on that excellent landing. Just a few inches too short for Pat McIntyre. Steve Henry now. 300 horsepower Yamaha. Holding it all on that engine, on that prop. Dropping it in for Steve Henry. "26-foot takeoff for Steve Henry. Waiting for the score to come in. Let's go look at sport class. The fight between Joel Milloway and Patrick McIntyre continues. Ty Firkin on the scene as well. Now coming up in third place, Chris Figgins in fourth. And back in the unlimited class, Steve Henry, final run, 104 feet combined. His best run, the third one, 100 feet total. Love watching all of these gentlemen fly. Before we go to commercial, got to talk about a few of our other sponsors real quick. Flying Eyes, I'm wearing them right now, and you can too. Flying Eyes, great glasses for pilots. They're thin. They get under your headset there like that. And then check this pair out. Oh, it's magic. It's magic. I've got sunglasses on. Bingo, bango, prescription glasses. Flying Eyes, you can use a coupon code to save when you go. Buy your Flying Eyes glasses. It's National STOL, all spelled out. National STOL. You can save 10%. Flying Eyes Optics. We also got to talk about Lift Aviation. Lift's love for flying drives them deliver only the finest in aviation products to market, like their flight helmets. They provide helmets as well for our rookies to wear if they're getting wetting their whistle on STOL. So go check out Lift Aviation. They're bridging the gap and making products that are stronger and lighter that you can trust. It is time now to pop over to the Backcountry class. So stay tuned, folks, As we get ready for even more flying action, my co-host all day, John Jughead Council, is going to enter the ring. We'll see how he does right after this.
A special thanks to all of our local sponsors. The City of Ontario, Oregon. The Gateway to Adventure. The Ontario Area Chamber of Commerce, engaging with the Ontario community. EAA Chapter 837, The Spirit of Aviation. Family Fun at Montgomery Farms. Aerostar International, the world leader in the design and manufacture of highly technical aerospace and defense solutions. Jacobs, reinventing tomorrow. PortaPros, the trusted source for portable toilets and temporary fencing in Idaho and Oregon. Fighting Classics Air Museum. The Ontario Speedway, Oregon's only sprint boat track. And Ore-Ida Potatoes. Potatoes done perfect. And we are back here in Ontario, Oregon. And look at this beautiful crowd that's hanging out and watching STOL. Give it a round of applause for you guys. We couldn't do it without you. Check out. I told you things get weird in sport class because physics starts not to matter. And then Steve flies and it's even weirder with physics. But we'll talk about him in a second. In the sport class, in third place, hello, Moto. In third place, combined score of 270 feet. Everyone give it up for Ty Firkin. Ty, welcome to the circuit.
No kidding, yeah.
How was it out there?
It was so much fun. Yeah, I flew the plane to the best I could, especially there at the end, and I'm happy with that.
Happy?
That was great.
Are we going to see you at the next one? You're going to make the trip?
Maybe. We'll see.
All the way to Tennessee?
I'll have to ask my boss.
All right. Ask your boss. Everyone give it up for Ty in third place. You're right over here, buddy. In second place with a combined score of 244 feet, give it up for Pat McIntyre. Pat, great to watch you fly. Thanks for doing the onboard video for us. It's always fun to watch you work all the knobs and bobs and whatever is in there.
A lot of bobs.
A lot of bobs in there. That's a technical term for pilots that you will learn when you do your pilot training. Anyway, how was it up there? You had a couple really heartbreaking close scratches today.
Yeah, I just couldn't get over the line today, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Always a good time to come and compete.
Always a good time to work the bobs and knobs.
The bobs, yeah. I need to go home and practice my bob working as I get over the line.
Thanks for coming on that journey with me. Give it up for Pat McIntyre, everybody. In first place, with a combined score of 195 feet,
the Tiger Shark, Joel Milloway. Get over here, Joel. Nice flying today, sir. Any secret you want to share, advice you have for your continued dominance?
Well, the air felt better today than it did yesterday. And I laid it out on the line today. I knew it was going to be hard to beat Patrick, so I was giving it everything I had and taking some chances, and it all turned out good.
You guys are kind of developing a bit of a rivalry throughout the season. It's always you or him. Anyone you're scared of between the two of you that's going to come up and sneak up and take you off the podium in the future?
Oh, I'm always scared. I got to work hard to beat Patrick.
It's probably the Kit Fox Forge that. I'm scared of that Kit Fox. Ty's like, what about me? I'm right over here. All right, get up there, Joel. Nice flying. And then we got to talk about the unlimited class. Steve, come over here. What did you say, Pat? He was the loser and the winner? Something, I don't know. You made a funny joke. Let's talk about it. A combined score of 100 feet. You can go, ooh. I got a couple. Thank you. Yeah. How was it? In Pinedale, actually, we were having this same conversation, and you said the wind was real rough. Any better today?
Yeah, today was much better. I just had a blast. I scratched once, and I'm okay with scratching once. Like, I'm not trying hard enough if I don't scratch once in a while. And, no, everything went really good. My takeoffs felt good. The landings felt good. I just was having a blast here flying with everybody. We know so many people here. You know, this being a home race makes it really special. Thank you all. Thank all you guys for coming out.
Yeah, who's from the Steve Henry crew, the Wild West Aircraft crew over there? Well, I wanted to ask you another question. You know, you had a bit of an incident in the aircraft like a week and a half ago. It's already all patched up, feeling good. Everything's working okay on it now?
Yep, everything's great. It was a hard landing on account of I lost fuel pressure. My engine quit when I was landing. It didn't hurt the airplane very bad. I ruined a gear leg was the main thing that happened, and basically that was the extent of it, and it didn't hurt me at all. So yeah, we got it fixed really quick.
And if I know you at all, that was about a 10-minute repair, and you were back flying later the day probably.
It wasn't quite that quick, but a few days.
Okay, awesome. All right, get up there. You can share with Joel. All right, everyone, give it up for Sport and Unlimited Class here at Ontario, Oregon. What a show they put on for you today. And I'm going to get, Steve just looked at me, so I'm going to walk further away. Go ahead, guys. Someone's got to break the seal. Go for it. Excellent flying by this. We've got more flying coming up with the Bush, the Backcountry class. You're going to see my co-host, John Jughead Council. Steve, all that talk he's been making today is going to figure it out, all right? We will see you in a little bit. We'll be back after this.
You said that the most common position for the CEO Guardian's over there on the right side?
Yeah, it would be generally somewhere in this area. And, you know, if you went into the panel, and obviously you can go into the panel, and with this particular one I showed you the panel, he's basically got a 275. His ELT is going to be here. You've got USB charging port and programming port, which will be tied into these, is going to be here. Then you've got Bose, these two audio jacks here, and this particular prop de-ice one is going to end up in this here. You can build something off of this flange, which you could put the CEO Guardian here. You could mount it to the top or the bottom of the glove box. Or if you're going to do a panel mount, you've got the mount holes, and I think there's 7-9 holes that actually go through the panel, and basically I would cut those.
So the touring class, it used to be just touring airplanes, and now that we've switched around the classes, because the 170Bs would always win, so they ended up putting us in the Bush class, which it's a touring airplane, and the word has it Austin Clemens isn't coming, because the Super 170's in his class.
tough battle, but Husky will win at the end of the day.
A little backstory here. I've been struggling. I used to be super consistent.
I think that little 4 or 5 knot crosswind just threw them off. They couldn't handle it.
So last night, Micah was inhaling helium, which obviously lightens the load.
So I went from the top to fighting for upper percentile.
Let me tell you something, Reese. We're out here today with some of these fine airplanes flying, but there's one that was on fire today because I had a front row seat and I watched all 3 of those pilots fly. Sean Johnson was on fire today. He was flying his best game, and he got to bring his best game because he's flying against Michael Lindstrom and Jeff Pohl, 2 of the best pilots in the lower 48. Let me tell you, brother, they're awesome out here today with this beautiful weather. It's so good to be out here.
Well, I did a pull test on my airplane. I was only pulling 745 pounds, and so I had them deburr the cylinders, and now I'm pulling 815 pounds of thrust.
And welcome back, everybody, to Oregon Trail STOL in Ontario, Oregon. Again, my name is Ryan Dombrowski, bringing all of the awesome STOL action to you and learning a lot about how to work the bobs and knobs in the airplanes. We're going to see some pilots do just that in just a second in the backcountry class, but first let's recap the scores from the Sport and Unlimited classes. In the Sport class, 4th place going to Chris Figgins with a combined score of 343 feet. Ty Firkin, great first showing with a combined score of 270 feet. Pat McIntyre and Joel Milloway continuing to battle it out. 244 for Pat in 2nd place. Joel Milloway up front this time with 195 feet combined. Then over to the Unlimited class, Steve Henry putting on an absolute show for you today with his best run, a combined score of 100 feet combined. Time to shift gears over to the backcountry class. You're going to see some great pilots competing for you today. Jeff Whiteley in a 1958 Cessna 175. Jughead Council 1955 Cessna 170 Bravo, and Shad Forrester in a Cessna 172. And as we douse this taxiway with a little more water, by the way, thank you again so much to the Ontario Municipal. Municipal is a hard word to say, folks. The Ontario Municipal Airport, they've been taking such good care of us and hopefully taking good care of you as well in the crowd. And part of that is making sure that the dust is minimized here on this taxiway. While we have this short break, it's a great time to go visit the merch tent, go visit the various food vendors. Pick yourself up a taco or a Kona Ice or a great sweatshirt for those cold desert nights here in the eastern side of Oregon. We got you taken care of. Also, while we wait for this truck to finish its important work, we can talk about some of our sponsors. iFly EFB is the complete EFB app for Android, iOS, and Windows that has all the advanced features pilots want in the most intuitive flight planning and navigation solution on the market. The iFly EFB team brings together the perfect balance of technology and real-world flight experience. Fly your freedom. It's different up here. That's iFly EFB. And we're on board right now as Shad Forrester gets ready to go. On board with him, he's waving hello to us. You might notice he's got a sticker of a different competitive aircraft on the back of his helmet. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Shad. Yeah, the Beast that Jeff Whiteley's flying. Well, he gets ready to go. Yeah, thumbs up for sure. Thank you, buddy. Let's talk about Tundra Tailwheel. You just saw Steve Henry up front. This is Josh Richling, his crew chief, and Steve Henry. They have this company, Tundra Tailwheel. If you're fed up with tailwheel shimmy, looking for a sleeker design with the added security of a locking tailwheel, proudly made in America, you should check out Tundra Tailwheels. They deliver exactly what you need. Join the ranks of countless STOL champions who trust Tundra Tailwheels. Our products are now compatible with Leaf Spring, T3, Acme Aero, and TK1 suspensions. You can upgrade your aircraft today at tundratailwheel.com. You can also take a moment to talk about Aero LEDs. Aero LEDs is an industry partner and leader of LED-based aerospace lighting. They're designed and manufactured just across the river, basically, over in Boise, Idaho. Aero LEDs are state-of-the-art LED aircraft lights that are designed with a focus on performance, efficiency, and reliability. They're ideal for use in experimental, certified, commercial, rotorcraft, aerial firefighting, UAVs, space, and military applications. That's right. Aero LEDs can even light up space. They serve every spectrum of the worldwide aviation market. Big thanks to the support of Aero LEDs. And we've got our pilots now under power, taxiing back here to say hello to all of you. It's a good reminder, a good time to vote for your fan favorite. Go to nationalstol.com/vote. That's nationalstol.com/vote. Voting is going to close in just a little bit as the last plane lands in competition. So once all of the airplanes are done competing, voting will be discontinued. So it's up to you to get your vote in now. Now's a great time. You're going to see a little bit more flying. And then it's off to the races for fan favorite. Now it's time to introduce you to the backcountry class from Jefferson, Oregon, in a 1958 Cessna Experimental 175 in race 122. Everyone give it up for Jeff Whiteley. This aircraft has big 35 Alaskan bush wheels, 35-inch. It's got titanium gear. There is a smoke system hidden in there. Powered by a Continental 0470. And in case you're curious, it has an empty weight of 1,650 pounds. Jeff, former Air Force as an enlisted aircraft armament systems specialist. The next pilot in front of you, you may recognize because he's been sitting next to me in the booth all day, from Snohomish, Washington, in a 1955 Cessna 170 Bravo model. It's race 115, piloted by John Jughead Council. John Council's a retired U.S. Air Force fighter, instructor, and civilian pilot. He's got experience in over 70 types of aircraft. You can see why we trust him to be in the booth with me, giving us all that information. He's got over 5,000 hours logged in various aircraft, and the most exciting one, maybe, if we asked him, the F-15C model, but he's also flown the T-6 Texan II, the T-38, the T-34C, and others. He's flown in NORAD missions over Alaska and led multiple missions in the F-15, including being deployed to Afghanistan in 2011. Next up, from Moses Lake, Washington, in a Cessna 172, it's race 103, Shad Forrester. Give him a wave and round of applause. Shad made his first appearance at the Moses Lake Air Show where we competed, and he is back on the circuit. He's a farmer and commercial pilot, and he frequently borrows his grandpa's plane for flying adventures. It's powered by a Lycoming 0360, gross weight of 2,250 pounds. So that is your backcountry class today. And it is going to be a tight one. We saw Jeff and Jughead trading places throughout practice today. And Shad putting in work as well, getting some short and competitive takeoffs and landings. And what's fun about the backcountry class is you've got a lot of aircraft that are maybe a little more common looking. Now, maybe Jeff Whiteley's aircraft notwithstanding with the Beast paint job on it. Here he is, tail super high. Working that rudder, keeping her straight. A little bit of wind on the nose finally. And the right main was off a lot shorter than the left main. He actually applied some brake there and it stopped moving. So his airplane's a little unique, an experimental 175, but Shad and John are flying very attainable, very common aircraft, just tuned for STOL. So here's the 170 Bravo, piloted by John, Jughead Council. Flaps in a little bit already, dropping them, pulling back, and it's sticking to the ground a little bit for John. He's going to have to pull a little bit later next time. Shad Forrester now on the line in the 172. Waiting for the air bosses to release him. There he goes. Full throttle for Shad Forrester. We're on board with him right now. Watch. Gives a big yank on the flaps and the yoke to get it into the air. I fly a more modern 172, and I have electric flaps. The manual flaps, the Johnson bar flaps that we learned about. That name coming from locomotives, a little more advantageous in the STOL arena because you can be very precise with the application and apply them very firmly. Check this out. Shad Forrester with the actual shortest takeoff of the first run with 314 feet. 346 for Jeff Whiteley and John Jughead Council with 435. Jeff Whiteley now low and to your left, bringing in the Beast. Good over line. Now he's got to get heavy on those brakes. John Jughead Council turning round the bend, base to final. First score of the backcountry class on the board. Jeff Whiteley combined score of 603. John Jughead Council with, I think it was a scratch. Judge isn't sure on the line. That's Eric Farewell on the line. Says it's too close to call. Let's go to the replay. And that, after review, is looking like a scratch. You can see the dirt and mud that was kicked up just before the line as your proof. So Jughead dropping the gauntlet right away, but maybe a little too risky. Not on the board yet. Otherwise, that would have been a 214-foot landing. Shad Forrester, here he comes in. A little hot, it looks like. Plopping it in on those spring gear, no problem. Heavy on those brakes, just binding up those tires and getting it stopped sub 375. So the 172 that Shad is flying, very attainable, very common aircraft, and it's great to see it competing in STOL comps. And I love it because it just goes to show, you know, if you become a student pilot, you're probably going to learn to fly in a 172, maybe a Piper Cherokee, but the most common thing is the 172 like Shad is flying. And it's so great to see how capable the venerable workhorse of aircraft training is, even in a backcountry environment. So really cool to see. I should probably get my 172 out here one of these days. I've got one named Uncle Victor that I share with 14 other pilots, and we take turns flying it, feeding it, maintaining it. It's a great way to get involved in aviation, by the way. Jeff Whiteley, tail super high, taking a bite. Tail down low now. Getting that speed, pulling off. And the judges, I think, looking at where the left main left the ground. And yep, Kyle Bushman saying, no, guys, a little bit further down, that right main was still on the ground. So they're going to call it sub 325. John Council now on the roll in the 170. Giving it the beans. And he's easing it off there. Now he's going to work those flaps out. Shad Forrester. Giving it a little tail wiggle. He's ready to go. Pushing that throttle in. He's full throttle, reaching for those flaps. Waiting for flying speed now. Yanking it all at once. Leaping it into the ground. And now he's got to get that nose down. You see he's keeping that nose down to build some speed up in ground effect. Nurse those flaps back out. And climb off into the wild blue yonder. Want to say hello to a few folks in the chat. Got to say hi to one of our competitors, Levi Nogues, is in the chat. Watch him do all his great flying stuff on social media. Russ Keith, also one of the announcers that pops in the booth with me from time to time. He's in the chat. Check out what he's doing over at Airplanes and Coffee. Burstix, one of the announcers for eSTOL and organizers of eSTOL, reminding everyone, nationalstol.com/chat. If you want to get involved in eSTOL, join that Discord server. Jeff Whiteley holding it off. Oh, not enough. You could hear him work on the throttle. Not enough to get it over the line. That'll be a scratch for Jeff Whiteley. Looks like we've got a low wing. Wanted to get a little closer there. Whoa, huge vertical there with smoke on. Looks like an RV4. Waving hello to all of us here in Ontario, Oregon. And that puff of smoke might give Jughead a little bit of an advantage because you can see what the wind is doing real visually. Saw a little bit of a crab angle in there. Now he's coming over to the side. Good over the line for Jughead. He's got those yokes full back. Not a lot of wind in a lot of places on the runway right now. Again, this is the Cash Preston Lee Troyer runway that we are competing on today. And talked to Cash's family couple days ago when we got to the airport, and they said one of the things he always used to say is, are you ready for tomorrow? Getting ready to go. And here's Shad Forrester now over the line. Getting it stopped right around the 375 mark. And Cash Troyer, anyway, we hope you've enjoyed what we've done here today. You can check out, there's a lot of information about how he was so involved in the aircraft community, the aviation community here. The seat pilots who we saw depart a little bit earlier totally took him under his wing, and very passionate about teaching aviation even to other kids. So celebrating him today on the turf runway here at Ontario Municipal Airport as we get ready for another run of the backcountry class. On to run 3 for the backcountry class now. Jeff Whiteley holding his own in first place still from his first run with 603 feet combined. John Jughead Council now in second place with 632. Here's Jeff Whiteley on the roll. Timing it better and shorter this time. Shad Forrester in third place with 661 feet combined, and so far he is the only competitor of this class not to scratch. Jughead Council in the 170 Bravo, part of the 170 Mafia. Getting it dialed in. Nice and gracefully off for Jughead Council as Shad Forrester taxis up to the line. Waiting for his turn to go. That was the best takeoff both for Jeff and Jughead. See if the same thing will apply to Shad. His best takeoff, 287. Whoa, there we go, Shad. Sub 250. He is putting in work. Look at that, the humble 172 giving the STOL beasts a run for their money today. Jeff Whiteley left. Straightening it out on final approach. Absolutely hovering it in. Good time for a reminder that registration is now open for Music City STOL October 11th and 12th in Gallatin, Tennessee. Maybe we'll see Jeff Whiteley there. Here he is. Flaps totally down, holding it off. Good over the line. Now he's just got to get it stopped. Nice and short for Jeff Whiteley. Race number 22. You can't miss it. Jughead Council turning base to final. Flaps already deployed. Be sure to also join us for Lone Star STOL in the National Finals November 1st and 2nd in Sulphur Springs, Texas, the home of Legend Aircraft and all the MOACs. Here's John Jughead Council now holding it off, timing it. Good over the line. He's got those brakes completely locked up. And he is dropping the gauntlet now, saying, hey guys, I'm still in the game. Shad Forrester on cue, base to final, to your left in the 172. Things tightening up between Jeff and Jughead, but no place change. Jeff Whiteley now down almost 70 feet, down to 535 feet combined. Jughead well below yesterday's practice, now with 562 feet combined. And Shad Forrester, if he can get it stopped, could upset the whole apple cart. Here we go. Hold it off, Shad. Oh, with a scratch after a 230-foot takeoff. That is absolute heartbreak for Shad. See him in the cockpit. Kind of bummed about that one. But we've got one more run, one more try for the backcountry class. So things remain unchanged. Jeff Whiteley in first place, Jughead Council in second, and Shad Forrester in third place. By the way, you don't need to be a pilot or a spectator just to come to the remaining events this year at National STOL. We also always need tons of volunteers. So go to nationalstol.com to get more information about how you can volunteer. Help bring this together. It's a ton of fun. Get unique access to how National STOL is operated. It's definitely a party in the sky every month. Time for the fourth run of the backcountry class to kick off. Jeff walking up to the line there, getting those main wheels exactly lined up. Eric Farewell, our line judge today, one of the owners of National STOL. Jeff Whiteley rolling down the runway. Waiting for the score to come in on that one as Jughead Council on the line, ready to go. .294 for Jeff Whiteley. Another improvement. Let's see if Jughead can do it as well. Getting that tail up and down. And she's off. Sub 375 for John Jughead Council. You can see he's building up speed to climb out as Shad Forrester taxis up to the line in the 172. Currently, he's bested the 170 and the 175 in takeoff, but he's got to catch up on the landing distances. Big pull again and a nice short takeoff for Shad Forrester. And it's time for the final landings of Oregon Trail STOL here in Ontario, Oregon. Don't forget to get your final votes in after Shad touches down. Nationalstol.com/vote will not work anymore. You won't be able to vote anymore. So if you haven't voted, this is your final warning. Get those votes in. Nationalstol.com/vote. Here comes Jeff Whiteley. To the left. Coming in a little bit lower this time. Look at him hold it off on the prop behind the power curve, giving it that goose of throttle to get over. He's got to get it stopped. Now that tail wants to come up, and he keeps it down. Let's go to the replay on that one. It looked close on the line. Great deck angle and just skimming the tops of the blades of grass. That is a good one in the books for Jeff Whiteley. Down now to 521 feet combined. $39-foot difference between him and Jughead. Here comes Jughead to make a go at it. Good over the line as well. Heavy on those brakes. Working those fat tires, and he's sub 300. His takeoff that run was significantly longer than Jeff's. So he's going to hold his best score at 562, holding second place. So now it's up to Shad as he comes in on final approach, the final landing of Oregon Trail STOL 2024. Kind of poetic that it's being done by one of the most prolific aircraft ever built. As he brings it in low into ground effect. Good over the line, but gave up about 75 feet. He's got to get heavy on the brakes. Stopping sub 350. And that, folks, that beautiful landing by Shad Forrester will wrap up Oregon Trail STOL. But it's not over yet. We still have to give out some awards to our backcountry pilots. As they taxi up to the line, though, I just want to say thank you to you at home. Thank you to all the volunteers. And thank you to the pilots and you in the audience. We'll be back with you in just a moment to wrap up Oregon Trail STOL 2024.
A special thanks to all our sponsors: Ladd Gardner Insurance, Aviation Protected, Legend Aircraft, not your grandfather's Cub. Get the right trailer for your job with usatrailersdirect.com. Sarasota Avionics, your authorized garment dealer. FlightHelmet.com, specializing in sales and service of flight helmets. Use code NSTOL50 for $50 off. Flying Eyes Optics, the lightest and most comfortable aviation sunglasses around. Lift Aviation, bridging the gap and making products that are stronger and lighter that you can trust. Aero LEDs, serving every spectrum of the worldwide aviation market. Red Tag Art, innovative and handcrafted aviation art and home goods. Legendary Aviation Coffee Company, where aviation passion flirts shamelessly with the seduction of coffee roasting. iFly EFB. Fly your freedom. It's different up here. Tundra Tailwheels. Upgrade your aircraft today at tundratailwheel.com.
We've had it in all of our airplanes. Ever since we started with the Piper Saratoga in the early 2000s. We did the pulse oximeter and CO detector in there. We've upgraded to there. Now we have a Cessna 340 that I was talking to him in Germany last year, and he was like, oh, you got to put the cabin altitude thing in the plane. I said, well, send it to me. So we put it in there, and it actually is really nice. This aircraft flies above 18,000, 10,000 feet, so up to 23,000 feet. The other day, the cabin altitude light comes on the manufacturer's panel, and boom, the CO Guardian comes on and says, all right, you're above 10,000, your cabin altitude is above 10,000 feet. So watch out. So it's kind of nice to have that redundancy in the plane. So for a pressurized aircraft, that is so important for me. I get that oxygen mask ready, make sure my oxygen is good.
Well, a friend of mine, actually it was Corey Robin, told me about these Flying Eyes glasses. While we were at Oshkosh, we went and checked them out, and they're awesome. But what I really like is the glasses themselves. They're very light. The earpieces are real thin and flexible, so you don't even know you have them on under a headset. If I put my headset on, they're just as comfortable as could be, and they're so thin, I can actually take them on and off without removing my headset. I couldn't do that with my other glasses. Then the other really cool thing about these, they make some awesome sunglasses, but they have these cool sunglass lenses that just snap on. So now instead of having to carry a big extra glass case in my pocket, that's all I got to carry to take my sunglasses with me. So there's several things about them that I'm really, really liking. Flying eyes. Awesome glasses.
And we are back here in Ontario, Oregon. What an amazing day it was of STOL flying. And we had to wrap it up with some great flying by the Backcountry class. Give it up for the Backcountry class, folks. This is what's really cool. All things considered, everyone was pretty tight. All within the same 100 feet. That's excellent. Okay, here we go. In third place, with a combined score of 598 feet. Give it up for Shad Forrester. Shad, we saw you at Moses Lake, if I remember correctly. Seems like you got bit by the bug.
Yep, a little bit.
And now you're here. How was it?
It was good. It's a good time. I'm glad you saved the best for last. I mean, all these other really good flyers, but you saved the last spot for me. So.
Well, here's what's exciting, and maybe these guys need to know, is that Shad was beating you guys on every takeoff. You had that dialed in a 172, putting in work. Anyone you want to say hello to in the crowd or at home?
My wife's cousin's over there, Travis Sup, and Tad Baker, my buddy. Yeah, it's a great crowd today. Thanks everybody for coming out, and I had a lot of fun.
It was fun watching you fly. Get on up there. Okay, now it's time for second place with a combined score of 562 feet. Get up for Jughead Council. We meet again, my friend. How was it up there today?
Well, it was tough. It was tough air, but I knew it was going to be really tough to beat Jethro out there. The Beast was absolutely the Beast today. I was happy with my second and third passes. Big thanks to everybody that came out to Ontario. Special thanks to Sport Aircraft Seats, Missoula Air Service, and Columbia Sportswear. Appreciate everybody coming out. It was a lot of fun, but let's give the big trophy to the man who earned it today.
Thanks so much, Jughead. And thank you. Round of applause for Jughead for being on the mic with me all the way today. He was awesome on the mic. A great honor to share it with him. All right. Combined score of 521 feet. Give it up for Jeff Whiteley in the Beast. So, how was it? How'd you do?
Felt really good. I had some scratches, and I thought, hey, you can't do that, you know, because this guy over here, he'll bite you if you're not paying attention, and it's happened before. So I knew that I had to hit the lines. I knew I had to try to get my AOA up because that's kind of where I can shine on the slats, and I felt like I got it done. So
you definitely got it done. Anyone you want to say hi to out there?
Yeah, my wife's in Vegas at a horse show. I love you, honey. Wish you could be here.
Different kind of horse, but anyway, all right. Get on up there, man. Let's hear it for the Backcountry class, Oregon Trail STOL 2024. Getting some photos here to make it permanent in the record books, and now it's time to celebrate right at your feet. Oh, they are going for it, folks. What an amazing day here in Ontario, Oregon. It is still happening. It is still happening. I think those bottles are empty. What an amazing day here in Ontario, Oregon for Oregon Trail STOL 2024. Big thanks to John Jughead Council for being with me on the mic, for all the volunteers, everyone in the production trailer, all the pilots, you at home and you here in Ontario. We love you. We couldn't do it without you. We can't wait to see you in Gallatin, Tennessee in just about a month for Music City STOL. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.